Hey, what's going on, everybody? ChazmaN here, and we're back with another episode of the ChazmaN podcast. As always, the spookiest place on the internet to get your gaming news. Here are my buddies, MetalGamer and Phoenix. Phoenix is this is his one visit for the month now, right? Being lazy.
Yep, my monthly showtime. So
Ooh.
I'm kind of sad though. Apparently, you guys, when I'm not here, the show is so much more popular. You had a comment last time, had engagement. Man,
Two
it's better
comments.
when I'm not here. Two comments, my word.
Double the comments.
Oh no.
See, I must be the curse, the hex. I don't know.
It's all that Arceus talk.
No,
No one wants to hear you talk about that.
If we
I don't know. I'm just waiting for another time to rant. So
if we did an Arceus centric podcast, it'd probably do like 10 times better.
hey, that could be my game of the year again this year, right?
Yeah, I think don't we have a topic that's best game played that didn't come out this year? Pretty sure we have one.
Yeah, except I haven't played it again this year. I'll have to make a effort to play it one more time just so it can be on my list again.
No. Well, as you guys can tell, we are starting our Halloween celebration just a little bit early. I know because Phoenix is only able to go once a month, I figured, why not let's do it a little bit early, just so he could be a part of the festivities.
So sweet.
Yeah, good guy. Plus, I think I'm going on vacation literally like the next day after Halloween. So
Yeah, that's the real reason why you don't care about me.
You go a lot on vacation, man.
that's my last
You
vacation.
You didn't just get off a vacation?
I know. That's like
Took a
big
sabbatical,
I did.
and you came back and you took off more days to go Halloween Horror Nights. Then you're gonna work like a week and then leave again.
I know, really. Man, I want to make the money you make.
We had a great time at Halloween Horror Nights. It's a good thing you mentioned that. But just a real quick touch on a few of the topics that we've got going for you. We're going to be talking about a few games. I played one spooky game at least for the season. I know Phoenix is chomping at the bit to get to finish up his Starfield thoughts.
Oh, yeah, so much so.
Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about some more highlights from the Horde, Halloween themed, and then we got, what do we have, a bunch of news topics actually for speedrun news. We actually have so many where if we're able to get through them, we'll have broken our high score of 5, which we've been sitting on that for a while. And then
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. And then we have our final. We got to go to something, and we'll talk about that afterwards. But I don't know. What do you guys want to? I'm noticing his face is moving around. That's not going to be distracting at all throughout this whole thing. As you could tell, we learned some new skills, I guess, in the last hour and a half.
I learned how to add overlays in OBS, and now he's gone mad with power.
Oh no.
Get over here,
You're
Frog
lucky
Man.
I'm not on Streamlabs. That thing is crazy.
Okay, so did you guys want to? I don't know who wants to touch on their game. Did you want to just knock it out, Phoenix?
You can
Oh,
go
with
ahead.
Starfield?
Yeah, go. Do it.
Okay. Hold on. I don't think I can be Oscar Mayer bat with all this going on. So let me hot dog myself.
No, you made me lose all hope in humanity.
I can't do it. Chaz took so long to set everything up. I've been melting away. I've been making my own relish in this darn thing. So
Delicious.
Melting.
Your own cheese? Your own good cheese?
Ugh. Oh man. So
as long as there's no
Starfield.
mayo.
So
There's no mayo.
Please.
We're all good.
no what?
As long as there's
No
no mayo,
mayo?
we're all good.
No mayo.
Oh,
Who puts mayo on
that's
a hot
so-
dog?
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised. I'm
Just
sure
saying.
somebody does.
People
Some-
put mayo on their French fries.
See, that's not so bad. Actually, I like mixing the mayo and the ketchup. You kind of make that, nice creamy pinky mix.
Speaking of
Good
which,
stuff,
this is
man.
this is the friendliest podcast in the internet when it comes to mayo on your hot dog. So if you do that, we welcome you with arms wide
We
open.
don't discriminate against your condiments.
In the words of
We
Scott,
take all shapes and
Scott
sizes.
Stapp. Yeah.
Anywho, so I think last time we had talked about Starfield, I had just played I think the first 12, 13 hours or so. Chaz, had you started it at that point?
I don't think so. I started it like a couple days after you.
Okay. What was your kind of feelings on it before I go through and kind of throw up on this game? what do you kind of take away from it?
Well, I feel like that's why I don't want to go on too long about it, at least on my end, because last podcast, I feel like every gripe I had, I literally put in that. But I guess just to kind of gather up my thoughts and to reiterate, I feel like I phrase it as like the game does a, I don't want to say good job, but it does the classic Bethesda kind of chore list pretty good. It does a good job of throwing a bunch of stuff at you, and like it has some of the discoverability type things on planets and things. As I kind of have, I feel like I've said it before, but like there's not much that's in, at least for me, that's that interesting. I feel like in our free time off podcast we talked that like I don't necessarily think the oh, what's the name of it, the what's the artificial, what is it, the procedural generation.
content.
I feel like we've talked about it, but I feel like that kind of hinders a lot of the explorability. Like there's not much that you see out in the world that is super interesting. I've said it many times, but like I've gone to different planets and seen the exact same structures. I've seen the exact same cave formations. Uh, there's not a heck of a whole lot of enemy types, so you're gonna see a lot of the same people no matter where you go. And I don't know. Maybe I
This game's
didn't.
boring.
It's very
That's
boring.
I think this is the
That's kinda
bottom
sad.
line.
Like,
Even in the powers though, like I didn't feel like in the upgrades, every time I would use my skill points for something new, I didn't really feel like, I feel like the only thing I saw was upgrading or making my backpack larger. It's like, oh, okay, I can carry more items, which I didn't that's actually something I didn't mention. The whole over encumberment thing here is so annoying because
It hits harder in this game than it does in other games. I mean, every
uh,
Bethesda game has over encumberment, so you have to deal with weight management and all that. This game though, it hits you really hard, really fast, and I think I was reading like they lowered the weight amount because they wanted to feel once again, quote unquote, more realistic. And I think that's what kind of neutered this game across the board. I mean, a lot of things kind of did, but I think this focus on trying to make things pseudo grounded, pseudo believable in this, space sci-fi epic fantasy, whatever it is, I think just really kind of nerfed some of the extravagant kind of enjoyment you get out of these games. Like, if I think about every other Bethesda game, there's something over the top about it. And honestly, that's one of the elements that always kind of drags me or brings me through the game. Like Skyrim, it's this very just medieval fantasy kind of Lord of the Ringsy thing. That over the topness with all the crazy magic stuff going on. Just there's so much going on that is just crazy, kind of pulls you through the game, right? Fallout, very quirky, kind of dark humor, like that pulls you through. This game doesn't have that. Like, it's very grounded in such a way that nothing is interesting, all the way down to like a lot of the quest lines. The companions are very dull. Like, none of them are overly unique or extravagant. Like, so think about Fallout, the companions you have in that game, even in Fallout 4, which I know is not everybody's favorite. You had a freaking detective synth robot dude following you around. Like, you had this crazy dark war backstory.
You had a mutant following you around.
Yeah, you'd have mutants follow. Like, you had just these really off the cuff, weird things that could happen and interact with. And in this game, you just don't get that. So I think just that grounded element did not work in their favor here. I mean, I get how some people would enjoy kind of the NASA-inspired aesthetic, and some people do appreciate that grounded approach. This game, I think because it didn't have anything else to add. I think that's the problem, is like, this would have been fine if there was something else. And I think I have that issue with every system I encounter in the game. Like, every system on its own is fine, but there's no wow factor in the game. Like, a lot of people will say that some games are greater than the sum of their parts. Like, the individual parts are kind of whatever. When it all comes together, it makes this amazing thing. This game is very much just its parts, and its parts, when they add together, almost feel lesser. It is not greater than anything being put together. It feels like all the parts are kind of disjointed in a lot of ways. And I think the biggest thing for me, and I think Chaz, you had mentioned this game out of all Bethesda games is lacking, for me, the most crucial element, and that's the exploration factor. Like, for a game that especially they really sold as this great big space exploration epic, exploration is the worst part of this entire game. I know you had mentioned it. Seriously.
It is.
And I know, Chaz, I'm pretty sure you said this last time, like in Fallout, you get out of the vault, and then you just go in a direction, right? It doesn't matter if you're going towards a main quest or just some empty spot on the map. You will find fun stuff, interesting stuff, quirky stuff. You'll find something. You can't do that at all in this game. There is no going off and exploring. Like, every place you go to, you're just teleporting to main hub to main hub to main hub. And when you're at one of the cities, you don't really leave the city and go off. Like in other Bethesda games, the city was this hub to find a quest, and it pushed you back out into the world. This just kind of traps you in the city, and then it says, okay, go out into space, but space is not this continuous explorative area. You just like go from the ground, teleport to your ship, you teleport to space, you teleport to a planet. There is no real travel in this game beyond just fast travel. And when go ahead.
No, I was just going to add. I think again that's why the procedural generation, it ruins a lot of the fun of the, as you were saying, the discoverability, like, or explore, like in Skyrim, like when you were seeing Winterhold in the distance, you know, and you're like, oh, what is that? Or when you saw the college, was the Winterhold College? I don't remember.
Yeah, the wizard, basically Harry Potter.
Like when you saw the school, or when you saw like specific mountains when you got there. I don't know. I feel like maybe the procedural generation just kind of, it ruins the interest factor of what you're going to find. Like maybe a smaller,
it's the bulk.
Perhaps
it's the
a smaller
of what their
universe would have been more
exploration
interesting.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like here's the thing about procedural content. The only time it works is when the focus of the procedural generated whatever, it's not about the content, it's about the gameplay. Like if I think about every other game that's had procedural generated anything, I don't play it for the procedural generated content. I play it because what I'm doing in that content is fun. So like, I know these are different styles of games, but like Hades. Hades has procedural generated rooms, right? Or they're randomized to a certain extent, maybe not true procedural, but there are a lot of games that, you know, they procedurally lay out these new quote unquote environments for you to explore. Yeah, Returnal is actually a good one, right? Once again, it's not truly procedural. They're just rooms that are kind of rearranged and whatnot, but it's not about where you're at. It's not about the procedural content. It's about the gameplay that you're interacting with in that content.
Yeah.
Exactly. And with Starfield, the moment-to-moment gameplay is dull, especially from an exploration standpoint. Like all you do is you mine some things, you scan some things, and the areas you're going to go dig around in on these procedural areas are as bland as can be, or pointless, or there's nothing to do. I think that's the other thing, is like every time I thought I found something interesting and I went through the effort of going through a cave or picking a lock or doing whatever, I almost never got rewarded for it. Like a lot of the caves in these procedural areas were either empty, or maybe had a couple of like weird alien creatures in it that didn't drop any loot. There was no story elements. It was literally just a cave, and then maybe some little box at the end with some crappy gun. Not a gun that was like a reward for completing a cave. It's just like, here is a procedural box with some procedurally generated nonsense in it. And then you'd even have times where like you'd go through the effort of like going through a quote unquote dungeon. You find the master lock safe at the end, like, okay, this is where the loot's gonna be. I had a couple of times where I opened up the master lock safe. There was nothing in it. It was empty. Or there was like a low-level basic gun. And I'm sure it's because everything is randomized, procedural, which is supposed to make things more playable, but it really just sucked all my enjoyment out of being rewarded for trying to explore.
As you were saying, the realism aspect is what ruins, a lot of the loot aspect, because it's like, why am I going to care about going and finding new guns and finding chests when it's going to be something realistic in there? Like the guns
most
are not,
of the loot
like,
is super bland.
Yeah.
Like I know you were talking about how combat is it's better in this game. Here's the thing, it's mid at best. Like what made combat fun in like Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 was not the act of shooting something, it was like what you were shooting. I was shooting a rocket launcher. Well, even the weapons, like I was shooting a mini nuke, or I was shooting something that could shoot out teddy bears. Like you had just weird, crazy weapons and arsenal that you could pull from. This game is like, here's a rifle. Oh, now this rifle you can add, new stock to, or sight on it. It basically grounded it down, so the combat was mostly just a standard FPS kind of thing. But when you put it into that comparative category, it doesn't hold up. Like the basic gameplay is fine, but this is no Call of Duty. This isn't even like a Borderlands. Like if you're trying to then take away the extravagance of it and just kind of get down to nuts and bolts of this is a FPS, it's not a good one. It's fine at best. I think that's my biggest issue with this game is if you take away the one thing I loved about Bethesda games, the exploration, all you're left with are all the Bethesda systems. And to be fair, they're the same systems for the most part you've had in all the other Bethesda games, but they're not great on their own. Like, you think about Bethesda's inventory management has never been good, right? Which once again corresponds to the looting. You think about the dialogue choices. In this game, the dialogue's fine. I mean, I guess I somewhat enjoyed the persuade options. Like, it was a little more involved than maybe in past games.
Something I mentioned in the previous talk is I brought up the very grounded, real aspect of the universe and the world. It, again, not only does it affect the loot, as we were talking about, but it affects, like, I feel like the NPC interactions are very, I mentioned this, the NPC interactions are very basic. It's like, how interesting can a conversation be when, like, every conversation you have with a random NPC is something like, it's pretty basic. It's like, oh, what do you do here? What's your job? You know, what do you like to do for fun? Where should I go? What are the notable places I should go here? And it's like every conversation is similar to that. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's all, it's all quote unquote realistic. Or, I mean, I know I keep saying the same thing about this game, and this is not new. None of these perspectives are new. I mean, looking across, any review channel, I think you've heard most of these similar opinions at this point, but I really wanted to like this game more. And there was a point I thought I was going to, like towards the end of the game, there are some things that pick up a little bit. But when I beat the game and came back, and to be fair, I beat the game technically twice. I did the first run through, I did a whole run through of New Game Plus, and when you realize how the game kind of plays out, there's nothing really intriguing to bring you back to it. Like, there are some cool things to do to enhance your character, but you have to think about, okay, why are you bothering? Like, once again, at the end of the day, you're just interacting with these Bethesda systems, which on their own are not that fun. They feel very outdated and archaic now, which was hidden when the exploration was good, right? Like, Fallout 4 even felt old when it came out, but I liked that I could go and explore Boston and some of the weird stuff that could happen out in the world. When you take that away from the game, you're left with outdated systems, janky graphics sometimes, in this case, very boring characters, which I think is the biggest just miss by them, because they've typically done really well creating these interesting characters and storylines and whatnot. And a lot of people are even praising a lot of the faction quests. I don't think they're great. I think they're fine. Like, comparative to other Bethesda games, none of the factions are nearly as good. Like, I think about the Thieves Guild quest from Oblivion, which was awesome.
Oh, the Dark Brotherhood.
Or the Dark Brotherhood from Skyrim. Or even a lot of the stuff in Fallout, like a lot of the Brotherhood quests. Like, those factions had some really cool stuff going on in them. The best faction quest in Starfield, the Crimson Fleet stuff, is fine. It's not great. I could pick that apart still, as stuff I didn't really like about it. With the way the characters interact with you, and some of your choices you can make aren't really all that substantial. Like, there's really no choice in this game. It also drove me crazy too, because like the factions don't acknowledge each other. Like, the way this game is set up, without going into too much detail,
I'm bored.
Most of these factions, huh?
I'm bored.
You're bored. I'll tell you, it doesn't take long to get bored with this game.
We'll get bored talking about it.
I know, but give me a few more minutes to rant, because there's a couple of points that drive me crazy.
I'm being facetious.
I'm not joking. It's boring, but my point being, like, this game sets you up. I understand this game actually has some interesting, like, background and lore to it. I just realized I'm talking in a hot dog costume. It takes any kind of punch away from what I'm saying. But there's been work done to expand this story, but the way it plays out in this game is very disappointing, because you have these factions set up. You have, like, oh man, what were they? You have the United Colonies, and then you have, like, the I can't remember the Cowboy Freestar something, I don't know. You have all these factions that have history where they conflict naturally, like they already are mad at each other about different things, and in the game you can join all of them. There is no recognition. Like, if I join the UC United Colony and I go start to the Freestar Collective, they don't acknowledge it at all, even though they basically hate the other group. Like, if you went back to, like, New Vegas, they would know immediately that you were part of another faction or another section, and you get a lot of crap for you to have unique dialogue. And maybe there's some of that in the game, but it is so subtle, if there is, and definitely doesn't have any impact on the overall gameplay. Like, you can join every faction pretty much, barring one or two, and they all treat you exactly the same, which makes everything feel so disconnected. Like, that's the other thing. The game already feels disconnected because the way you move around is just fast travel. Space, if anything, makes this game feel smaller, because it doesn't feel like this expansive gap you're traveling to get from place to place, because the only way you get somewhere is going to your menu and saying, I want to go from this place to this place, and it's just fast travel, fast travel, fast travel. It makes completing missions so annoying because you literally will teleport to one planet, talk to some guy to check off part of your quest box,
Have to go to
and
another
then you
planet.
come back into your menu, fast travel to another planet to talk to some other guy to check off his box, immediately fast travel back to the other place, and it's just back and forth, back and forth. Super tedious, super boring. Man, I'm trying to think of where else to even go through with this game to like find bright spots. Like even at the end of the game, like the big twist. I mean, did you see the twist? Do you know how this game ends?
Oh, I didn't. I got like 20 hours in, and I was just like, I'm done.
Would you like me to tell you, or would you like to leave that?
I'm not going back to it. You can go ahead.
All right. So the way this game ends, there are no aliens, which still disappointed me.
There's no sentient or smart aliens.
Yeah, there's no sentient aliens. You got plenty of alien creatures, which they could all be the exact same model, exact same creature. Like there's no difference in behavior.
Now, remember
that
what I
could tell.
mentioned before would be an interesting DLC or expansion down the line would be like a First Contact. I don't know if they ever lead up to that, but
I don't think it would matter much in this game. So like the way the game
then
ends,
it just becomes Mass Effect. Like,
man,
Mass
this
Effect
doesn't
was-
hold a candle to Mass
No.
Effect. Like,
Oh boy.
anyway, the way it ends is it goes the multiverse route, where basically the whole game you've been collecting these artifacts. You find out basically it's a way to portal into another multiverse. So then your character gets reborn into this new world, and you start the whole story over, but with your character like choices and whatnot, and you can basically.
Is it a more interesting multiverse?
So
puts you in a
yes and
different
no.
game?
In the most superficial way. So, and this is where I think the interesting stuff started, but they didn't carry through with it far enough. Like, so you know how the game starts, you end up meeting up Constellation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the big kind of like group, the main faction, quote unquote, that kind of leads you through everything.
Yep.
So when you go into a new multiverse, you have these random possibilities of when you go to meet Constellation for the first time. And spoiler alert for anybody who ever watches this, Constellation changes depending how you go to it. Like there's one where like the entire group of Constellation is made up by a bunch of your character, just all different versions of them. There's another one where they're replaced with plants. There's one where one of the characters went crazy and murdered everybody. Like there's some interesting things that finally happen, but it only applies to that, to my understanding, just to that Constellation group. The rest of the game is all still the same. So even though that's interesting, it doesn't permeate enough to make the game more interesting. It's like, oh, that was cute, that was funny, but then you go and you still do the exact same stuff you did before, right? You still have to explore the same boring procedural content. You still collect the same artifacts that you did before. Like the game doesn't get better. So I don't know. I feel so odd that I am so disappointed with this game, because I went into this game with literally like no expectations at all. Like I didn't get hyped up about it. I was like, it'll probably be fun. At best, it'll be Skyrim in space.
I had the smallest amount of hype. I was like, I was wary though of the entire time.
I think it was like I set my bar pretty low. Like I literally would have been happy with just straight up Skyrim in space. I wouldn't have cared about the old systems. I wouldn't have cared about janky graphics. If I could have got just a similar Bethesda explorative game with a lot of those kind of cornerstones that have existed in all their other games, I would have been happy. But they ripped out the one thing I really liked. And I guess that almost makes you look back at other Bethesda games more negatively, because that's really the only thing I truly love about these Bethesda games is the weird, wacky world that you can explore with lots of just interesting content to kind of go between, which to me is a substantial thing. But if you rip that out, all these games are mediocre combat, mediocre or clunky systems, a lot of times clunky graphics. I don't know. It's very much soured my my impressions or my taste on even past Bethesda games now, which is kind of sad.
I think it makes
and this game is still buggy.
I think it makes me look at the older ones more favorably, because
yes and no.
Because it has, granted, I mean I get what you're saying. I'm just mean though that like the fact that they're able to spray Febreze, on those other elements, that like it's impressive. I mean, it's like, well, you're at least able to have some sort of
true. I guess maybe a better way to phrase this doesn't make me look poorly on those games. It makes me devalue a little bit of Bethesda's magic, if you will, right? Because those games were good because of that one element, but as soon as you yank out that one element and you think about what you're left with, it's not that appealing. Like the age in the engine and the kind of cracks that or I think we're showing a lot more in this, are so more apparent. And you're like, man, they plan on using this game for Elder Scrolls 6, or this engine, I should say.
Ew.
I don't know. Disappointing. And the game's still buggy. I know a lot of people didn't have nearly as many issues, but I had some weird bugs too. I had one that almost soft locked me out of the whole game. There was this conversation that apparently a character was having with another just NPC, and then I, in my menu, said, I want this character to hop on my ship because I just freed up space to have an extra person on it. Apparently, it happened mid-conversation with these two NPCs, and it put this one character on my ship, and then halfway through, I could hear her talking to somebody, but there was nobody there.
Mhm.
And apparently, she was still having the conversation with the other person back on the old planet, which may not seem like a big deal until she decided to bring me into the conversation. She turned to me and was like, let's ask this person's opinion. And then it locked me out because the other person wasn't on the ship, and there was nothing I could do. I had to keep backtracking to try to break the conversation or break out of it. The only way I was able to get the game to work, I had to literally trick her to follow me out of the ship and lead her back to the original person on the other planet so they could finish their conversation, and then I could be brought into it to say one line and continue the game. It took me like 3 hours to get through that nonsense.
I don't think I played
So
long
there's
enough
still
to
weird,
really
janky stuff.
see anything crazy like that.
Well, it's still there. I mean, maybe you avoid it. Maybe I heard some people say that possibly they just put more effort in the first like 10, 20 hours of the game so that it appeared more polished initially, and then the longer you play, the more cracks start to show. I don't know how true that is because some of the stuff that pops up is like specific to like the system, so I feel like you would have noticed those earlier on, but I don't know. This game I wanted to like, and I feel like there's a world where after a bunch of mods, like if you're playing this on a PC and you got good mod support, I've already seen people like start replacing characters like Star Wars characters and stuff and adding Star Wars planets. That might add enough enjoyment to keep this game going. Maybe the DLC will make it interesting. Bethesda has historically put out good DLC, but this base game is very mid. Like, I know nobody wants to call this a bad game. I mean,
It's not a great
same
game.
it's not a good game.
I hate to.
People can still have fun in it though. Like if you enjoy certain systems, like you really get into the shipbuilding, or you really get into the outpost building, there are people who will find enjoyment in those systems. But if you're looking for a standard Bethesda open world, big explorative kind of context, you're just not going to get that here.
Most review places I saw gave it like a 7, and
What do you give it?
well, that's what I was gonna say. Is that like, I think that's along the lines of what I would say, but for me, I would drop it down one more point. I think to me it was like a middling experience. Like I didn't love. I mean, obviously I didn't finish it, but yeah, for me, like maybe 5, 6, probably maybe 6 if I'm being nice.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm not usually big on like just giving things numbers because I mean they're very subjective. But I, if this, I wouldn't recommend this to somebody. Like even
Ouch.
somebody who likes Bethesda games, I'd say go play one of the old Bethesda games.
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't think there's enough here to warrant a different experience that you wouldn't get from the other games. Like the space aspect of it is not worth it. Maybe the spaceship building, that's cool for a while. I know some people have spent a lot of time with that. I got over it pretty quick. I don't know. I mean, your mileage is going to vary. I just didn't, retroactively thinking about what I did in the game, didn't enjoy any of it enough. There was no faction quest. There was no system. I felt like the game was so slow to like progress through, like level up. Like it took forever to get XP. And that made it very hard to enjoy building a character. I always felt underpowered. And I played this game for like 70, 80 hours. And I didn't feel like my character really got that fun to play. Like a lot of the skills were still locked out because the way they have the skill tree, it locks you out of doing stuff like at a very low level. Like I think the goal is they probably wanted you to really say, I want to be a stealth character and only invest in stealth. But if you want to spread out at all and you like want to be a decent pilot and have decent gunplay, you have to spread out, and it makes you kind of crappy at everything. I think they're really expecting you to go through and do New Game Plus like 2, 3, 10 times, and then you build out a powerful character. Technically, the way the game is structured, you're supposed to get a max character. You have to play New Game Plus 16 times or something like that.
That's ridiculous.
And to be fair, it's not as long as you think. Like once you realize how the game kind of structures evolving your character, each new playthrough might only be like 3-4 hours, something like that. But you'd have to go through the end credits and New Game Plus loop 16 times or some nonsense like that, and it is not worth it. This game's just not worth it. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's not the system seller that I think Microsoft was hoping it would be. I mean, I know because they were looking at this as being like, I mean, they haven't had like a real hit home run since the last Forza. Maybe I know the last, but that's not a.
I'm curious what their metric for success is going to be here, because the game has not been, overly negative critically. Like, I mean, it's been a little muted, like it wasn't tens across the board, but I think it ended up being a like high 7, 8 area, which is not terrible.
But they were looking at this to be like, it's a system seller. Like this was,
and it still kind of was. I mean, maybe not to the extent, but a lot of people did before. I think they knew what this game was. People went out and bought Xboxes for this game. And there are people who are enjoying it. Like, I know I'm coming across real negative and I wouldn't recommend it, but that's still not saying that people aren't going to find enjoyment in it. I've seen plenty of people online who are loving playing the game. I think it very much depends on how you play this game, though. Like, I think if you're a streamer and you have a chat with you, that's going to make it a lot more fun because you can engage in the game a little bit differently. I don't think playing a good guy in this game is worth it at all. Like, if you're someone who likes to play Bethesda games as the morally good person, which is what the game wants you to be, like the narrative and your companions, all your companions are goody two-shoes. Even the bad one's a goody two-shoe. So they all want you to play a good character. That is the most boring way and ultimately unsatisfying way to play the game. I should have been a pirate at the very beginning, killed everybody, stole everything. That probably would have made my time a lot more enjoyable. But even then, I don't think the game wants you to do that. And I don't think you still long-term get a whole lot more out of it. But it's a game you'll find your own enjoyment out of if you really like the systems. I did not enjoy this enough.
You're not convincing here, buddy. Hey, there's Final Fantasy 16, by the way. You can play that. It's super fun and enjoyable.
Maybe.
And you don't have to think a lot.
No, you don't.
Instead of that game, sounds like you have to think a lot and how much you hate yourself.
That's why you don't have to think a lot. There's no critical thing. Okay, I'm gonna rant again because that was the other thing about. Well, one of the other big elements of like Bethesda games, and granted they weren't always great with this, but they had some choice, right? You had to think about what was the impact of what I was gonna do, right?
Yeah, there was always some sort of karma system.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of times it was too black or white. People don't love that, but I would have taken even that. Just a super extreme, I do this evil thing, something evil happens. There's none of that in this game, really. At least not to any meaningful thing. Like, it's not like I make a decision and this whole faction's gone now. Or like this whole planet blows up. Like, if I could have blown up a planet, man, if they could have taken what Megaton did, planet scale, like I could have driven around a Death Star. Like,
I was just going to say, if you could get a Death Star or something crazy.
You could be
like, this game needed the craziness. I mean, something. It either needed to be crazy on the gameplay or crazy on the story. Everything's just so flat across the board. I said, some people are going to find some fun in here if they want something very grounded and they really like systems. They really like the Bethesda interactive kind of systems and management. It's not for me, though.
All right, so
I'll stop.
I don't want to keep us going. I just have one more point. So what does this mean exactly? Not Starfield. What does this mean for Bethesda as a whole? Because in my opinion, this is maybe not steep, but definitely is a decline in terms of fun or quality, in my opinion, for games. I mean, Fallout 4 was good, but it was not, it did not live up to New Vegas or Skyrim or Oblivion or Fallout 3. So for me, Fallout 4 was a bit of a dip. And then Fallout 76, another big dip. And now you have Starfield, which I don't know if you could call it a dip, but it most definitely is not a sharp incline. So it's like, what is the future hold for? I mean, obviously Elder Scrolls 6.
For Elder Scrolls 6,
it's like, oof.
Like how good is it gonna be? Like, it almost feels that all the future games are gonna they're just gonna lack so much of that.
I'm actually gonna rate if they don't get Elder Scrolls 6 good. That's the one franchise where I'm like, I would rage.
So I think it really depends. Like, the good thing I think that goes in Elder Scrolls' favor that Starfield didn't have. Starfield, once again, brand new IP. They chose to go this realistic direction, and that's just how they kind of frame this world. Luckily, Elder Scrolls is already pretty established, right? It's already got this lore, it's already got this fantasy element. So, assuming they don't rewrite literal history in their game, it should come with more interesting stuff, I would hope. The only thing that would worry me at this point, which once again, I don't think Elder Scrolls is set up in the same way, the big thing that I think hurt Starfield was the lack of exploration. The fact that they yanked it out and everything was procedural and there was no connective tissue. It was you bouncing from planet to ship to planet to ship. You couldn't navigate just freely by walking to somewhere. As long as that comes back, you have a nice big open map in Elder Scrolls and I can move from one place to another. If it's procedural, that's going to hurt it. Like if every cave I go through is a procedural cave, that's not going to do it for me.
I hope they just use the same engine. I'll be honest, because every other game used pretty much relatively same engines. I think this one they changed it, didn't they? They had to do
it's all the creation and they've upgraded the engine. They always upgrade the engine, but it's still the creation engine.
It's still creation.
I don't want them to stay with the
change.
same engine.
I want them to make it just better and just because they, even with its flaws, the older games, at least for the bare minimum, they were just fun. Like no matter how you slice it, with their bugs, with their crap that those games came across, with missing textures and stupid nonsense like that, like you're willing to like kind of pass all that and laugh about it and just go to like the next awesome thing that they show.
And that's fair, but here's the thing. Like, so that, I mean, that's fair. And I think with this engine, they could make another Skyrim. Elder Scrolls 6 could just be Skyrim again, but a little bit better. And I think I'll be happier with that, because I'll hopefully bring back, the explorative nature and the quirkiness and all that kind of stuff that I was complaining about. But I think they're going to have another issue. If it is literally just the same, it's Skyrim again, especially if you're thinking, okay, this is going to be 6 years out probably. We're not seeing this game for a while. Games have evolved so much. Seriously, it will have been probably 15 years between the last Elder Scrolls to this one. I don't think they're going to be able to hold up from public perception with this engine anymore. They were limited in this engine. Like a lot of people were complaining that, oh, you couldn't, get in a Land Rover and drive around on Mars or something.
I said that.
I feel it. Yeah, and you're not the only one. And a lot of people are like, well, why didn't they do it? I feel like it's probably an engine issue. I mean, they don't, like, what Fallout game or what any game has had any kind of vehicle exploration. I mean Elder Scrolls, you had a horse.
Wasn't great.
You had a horse.
Something.
But that's what I'm worried about is what if the reason why, and I don't know this for sure, I might be reaching, but what if the limitations...
Oh, I thought you were going to go
what if a limitation is the engine? They can't do it because their engine wouldn't hold up. Maybe if they move too fast to an environment, their engine, like the level of detail, the load, the pop-in is too terrible. Like it's not optimized enough to handle traveling across vast distances at a certain speed. Like I feel like their engine... It feels like it's at a breaking point.
Maybe they need
and it can't introduce new technologies.
Maybe they need to
move
there's
stuff that other games do better.
Just move to Unity.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. I think they would, and I think this is interesting because Cyberpunk, which a lot of people are comparing this game to Cyberpunk now that Cyberpunk's had a big refresh and they're both big open explorative games, and people are now touting even more how good Cyberpunk does a lot of things. And even they have recognized the shortcomings of their engine, which apparently is already doing more than what Bethesda's engine feels like it could. And they came out and they said, no, we're switching to Unreal Engine for the next game. CD Projekt Red. I think a lot of these companies are realizing these internal engines they have to keep up with and maintain, although it can give you some freedom and flexibility. It doesn't always keep up, and especially at the rate that Bethesda's been modifying their engine. Not saying they haven't added stuff to it, and I'm not a true game dev. I don't know the inner workings of their engine or how much work went into it. So if anybody from Bethesda ever hears this, I'm sure there's a lot of effort that goes into your engine, but it feels dated, and I feel like there's limitations that are impacting the gameplay at this point. Like, why not go to Unreal? I know the answer is there's royalties they don't have to pay to Epic, and that's probably the reason they don't want to do it. But
that's more
the Unreal Engine. Yeah, but the Unreal Engine is extremely flexible. Could probably do everything they want and more. And I think they would just open themselves up to having more options with how they structure their game. Granted, I know it's a lot of work, but a lot of their old systems just aren't as good as they used to be. Like, at least that we don't forgive them like we used to. If they have the exact same systems in the exact same fashion inside the next Elder Scrolls, and it's because that's just how they decided to set up the engine, that's going to be frustrating. Yeah. Even if I enjoy whatever the new world is.
They better be careful because, there's another company within Microsoft that I would say I mean, we've talked about Obsidian before, but Obsidian does it better at this point. I mean, I know Obsidian is still relatively less talked about as Bethesda, but like, I mean, hey, I liked Outer
Yes and
Worlds.
no.
I liked Outer Worlds more than
I
this
liked
game.
Outer Worlds a lot better than this. Because when you think about what this game was trying to offer, like all the extra planets, that all fell so flat inside of Starfield. So when you yank that out, you're left with a game of like handcrafted content that feels about as on scale as Outer Worlds, and Outer Worlds made it far more seamless.
Outer Worlds
It
didn't
was a
even
shorter
have
game.
it didn't even have exploration either, and it was a more entertaining game.
It had a little bit. It had more than this game did. Like when you went on one of the little mini maps, I was able to walk around, just find random stuff and stumble across things in a way that was far more enjoyable and far more familiar to like older Bethesda games than Starfield ever did. So yeah, it was a smaller experience, but the curated experience made it so much more enjoyable, and it had a little bit of quirkiness to it, right? It wasn't so grounded, and I know that's a design decision, but I don't know. I'm going back on my rant. I'm sorry. Yeah, I am a little worried now more so about Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think they'll have the same issues as Starfield. I think the issues are going to be engine dependent, and I think they need to switch or make some serious design changes moving into the new game.
I had better not like Avowed more than Elder Scrolls 6. That had better not happen. I mean, I know they're not exactly the same type of game, but a lot of people are looking at Avowed as like, oh, it's their go at like a, you know, mystical Sky or
Medieval
Elder Scrolls.
Sky,
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
All
All
right.
right. I've talked for an hour about Starfield, so
That's
let's go
it.
ahead.
Don't worry, everyone. We're done with Starfield.
Sorry.
No more Starfield.
For now. No,
Sorry,
good.
Todd. Okay, so I guess Gamer, do you want to jump right into? Have you gotten to play Final Fantasy 16 at all?
I'll be honest, I have not. I really wanted to play more.
so we don't even need
I really
to-
do have to. We don't even have to even talk about that right now. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
I assumed you get to play a little bit more of it.
Oh no, I haven't. I really want to though. I'm dying to play more.
That's all right. Phoenix took
I
up
don't want to
the-
forget where I'm at.
Phoenix took
Yeah, I
up-
stole your time anyway,
You
so
stole
you can
plenty of
only say
time.
like 2 words. So
Yeah,
your
I
time's
can.
up.
Yeah, I can catch up later.
It's all good. I guess real quick, I will touch on a game I just finished the other day. I have played Alan Wake before, and one of my goals before October 20th, which is when Alan Wake 2 and Spider-Man 2 come out, one of my goals was to replay the original Alan Wake and to, play the other Spider-Man games, which I did. But yeah, so I got to play Alan Wake. Have either of you guys played Alan Wake? I don't even remember.
I have played the first
Long,
like
long ago.
hour or two of it back when it first came out, and it creeped me out. I mean, you guys know I'm not a horror person guy, and this isn't even like a really scary game. I know it's not. I've watched several Let's Plays of it since then, but
I love Alan Wake.
I'm a big wussy when it comes to this kind of stuff. I do like Alan Wake in the context of it.
Yeah, it's it kind of, I mean, after replaying this game, to me it was nowhere near as scary as the first playthrough. Maybe it's just because I knew what was coming and everything, but like I would say the horror elements of this game remind me very much of like a BioShock, where like BioShock on its whole wasn't a super scary game, but there is that opening section and the first few levels.
It's got its moments.
It's got its moments where you're standing on your toes, but I love
it's more. They're both more thrillers than
Yes,
horror games.
very
Like
much so.
they put you on edge and they put you like uneasy throughout it, which is and I honestly I like those kind of horror games far more than like the super like in your face jump scare kind of game. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, if you can do both, I would prefer. Like, I feel like that's what a game like the OG Dead Space was able to do, where it was super scary and it also was like a thriller. It kind of did everything. But I'm not talking about Dead Space, but Alan Wake, man, this game is such a fun, and I should say it's really short. I didn't realize I finished the game in like under 8 hours, which is crazy. It's like really not that, but it's weird because like my view and my opinion on this game are totally shifted after playing Control, because when I originally played the game, Control wasn't out, and Control adds like so much more interesting context and makes this game so much like you actually like kind of understand.
Did you play the DLC
of Control?
Did you play the Control DLC?
I did not. I'm assuming it touched on probably some Alan Wakey stuff.
Alan Wake is straight up in there.
Oh, at 2 Control?
Yeah, like one of the DLCs is basically the Alan Wake DLC.
Really, that's cool. Like maybe afterwards, because I think
Did you play?
I
Go
only
ahead. I'm sorry.
I only played the first Control DLC, which I don't even remember. That one was something about
The Foundation.
the Foundation. I think that's the only one I played. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I know the second one is about, it has Alan Wake in it. Did you play the Alan Wake American Nightmare, kind of the
I
the
did
digital
a
standalone
long
game?
time ago. I don't think it's been a while. Like I don't remember much about it. I don't remember thinking it was very good.
I think the Control DLC kind of builds on that a little bit. And I think kind of preps you then for Alan Wake 2.
Yeah. But yeah, once again, I super enjoy this game. Like it's very interesting because again, after playing through something like Control, that like Remedy Entertainment vibe is just kind of like oozing out of like their games are so interesting. Like you've seen Control, like they're able to like make you put you on like, make you uneasy, put you on edge, but then they have like moments of like humor and just out wackiness that's just like they totally change up the pace of their games like on a dime. Like this game is so cool. Like it's, I don't know, stuff I liked. I love how if you play the game, they treat it like a TV show, which it's supposed to be styled after like what's the TV show from the 90s? Twin Peaks. It's supposed to be like Twilight Zone or Twin Peakish, and like they even have like a Twilight Zone knockoff TV show that Alan Wake has helped write episodes for because he's a writer. What was it called? It was called
Wasn't like Starry something or
I don't remember.
Oh,
it was like
I know what you're talking about.
Either way, but I don't know. It's super cool. Like, and they even explain, which I didn't even realize, but I guess I won't do spoilers. But like, the thing kind of causing all of this to happen is like an explainable. It's something that they explain in like Control. They explain kind of what it is, where it comes from, why it's doing what it's doing, and like when you initially
altered world event kind of thing.
Yeah, and when you play Alan Wake, like you don't have a clue. Like initially, you have no understanding of how or why anything's happening, and
they're building a cool kind of just connected universe. I was reading too, because Remedy did the old Max Payne games.
Yep.
And I know they're about to remake them. Like they've said that right now the Max Payne games are not in this connected universe. A lot of people think though when they remake them, they're gonna add stuff to them to tie them into all of these. Yeah, I think it would be neat.
Yeah, Gamer.
Max Payne's got some weird stuff too.
Gamer. I would definitely recommend if you're able to find, like, if you ever play Alan Wake or Control. I mean, those are like, they're really interesting experiences. I mean, I think did we never actually officially talked about Control? Did we?
I can't recall if we played it during podcast time or not. I loved Control though. I mean, I'd honestly go back and play it again because I didn't finish the first DLC. I kind of went through and skipped parts of it and just finished up the second one. So I'd play it again. And
they have music from the band. They have like the same band throughout all these games. That Poets of the Fall. They do music in this game, and for Control, it's fun. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, but like I also don't want to touch on spoilers in case anyone wants to play it. But like, super fun. The game is oozing with style. Like again, I love the TV show. Like whenever you reach a different chapter, it's like on the next episode of Alan Wake, and then when you hit the new chapter, it's like previously on Alan Wake, and they'll play like Roy Orbison and show you like what you did in the last chapter. It's super fun, super stylized. I liked every character that they got going on in this game. I liked the gameplay, like the way obviously the game, it's like a spooky time game, but the way they play with lighting in this game is like amazing. Like I almost forgot how integral the light is, because like the game is all about light and darkness, and like I don't know, like and I should say I didn't even play the remaster version. I played the OG, which apparently last year or the year before they made a remaster, which I refused to pay $30 for on the Epic store. I was just like, I already have this installed.
Did you play it on PC or would you play
PC?
it on?
Played on Steam.
Yeah, so you probably got at least better resolution than back on the 360 days. So
super fun though. Again, I would hard pressed to find any real negative I have with it. I feel like the gameplay is solid for the time. I feel like graphically, it's great. Like, there's, again, cool stuff they do with lighting. It's got a great story. If, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of running around, but again, should definitely play. If I should say, what they did say that for the new Alan Wake 2, they're going far more into the spooky area, which I'm excited for. I'm kind of curious what, like, Alan Wake 2, man, I don't even know what to expect with the next one, because with this game, it's tough to see where even they could go with it, but they do kind of leave things up for debate, at the end of this one. So I don't know.
Well, it leaves on a cliffhanger. Like,
It's a bit
things
of a
aren't
cliffhanger.
Resolved at the end. Yeah, so I mean, there's stuff to do. There's
It's a
things
very
to
like
remedy.
It's a very like
to an
Silent
ending.
Hill ending where you're just like, you're not really given an answer. They're like, oh, this may have happened. Deal with it. You know what I mean? But yeah, all right. That's all I had to say. I loved Alan Wake. Great game. It's definitely a must play. I feel like, and it doesn't waste your time either, man. Like I said, you're in there 8 hours. Every chapter is super interesting. It's not. I don't think it's a bad time at all.
Very cool.
Okay,
Neat.
so what do we want to do? We want to do highlights from the Horde next? I feel like that might be interesting.
We can. While you guys are doing that, I can't be a hot dog anymore. I am literally about to dissolve into hot dog soup, so I'll be right back.
You have to do it on camera, though. Oh no.
You are
Nope,
my hot.
not
You
doing it.
are my hot dog. You're my hot dog.
Turn.
Well, I guess in the meantime, why don't we go ahead to the next section while he undoes himself?
Gotta
We
do
can
it.
see
On,
you.
the
Just kidding.
fans want to see. Let's see.
The fans are excited to see Phoenix to release his Phoenix.
Release his Phoenix. Release the Phoenix.
Release the Phoenix.
Okay, so yeah, we are moving to highlights from the Horde. Well, I guess we're already there.
Release the Kraken.
Let me make sure I got all this set up. All right, so if you guys don't know, our highlights from the Horde section is where we kind of pick an item from our ridiculous collections. Pick from our stuff that we probably shouldn't have because we're adults. But kind of talk about them.
Oh, don't kid yourself.
Oh, okay.
We are the weakest definition of adult, and like the you have to really stretch that definition to get to us.
But yeah, we kind of pick an item and kind of go into it. If you don't know, we figured let's do some spooky time stuff. We got a spooky theme going on, so.
Ooh, so spoopy.
So spoopy. Who wants to go first?
I vote metal.
Alrighty, I guess so. Since I didn't have anything much to talk about for the game, because I'm enjoying my 16 time.
Plus, I used up all your time too, so.
That's it. Okay. So, man, I didn't realize we were supposed to do stuff. So I have I pulled out some games, and I guess I'll start off with this guy. So I'm a little sad because I know this game doesn't really work.
Doesn't work.
You can get past certain areas, but I have myself some Friday the 13th.
Oh, okay.
And by our favorite company in the whole wide world,
LJN.
LJN. And
What was it?
Rapid
AVGN? He used to always say AVGN was the stamp of quality.
he hated their games, and you know what? Not for nothing, their games are pretty terrible. So they're not good. This one's not very good either, but I am sad that this game is it turns on, it does what it needs to do, but man, it goes into that code death, and you see all of the numbers and colors, and it's horrible. So it doesn't really work as much anymore. Maybe there's something in it that I can probably fix, but I used to play this game when I was a kid, and as a matter of fact, you could probably hear it. It's kind of loosey. I should double check it. Yeah, I should double check it. I have a
falling off in there.
Yeah, I have a bit for it.
Just
So
rip
I
it
should be able to open it. Yeah, I should, right? I'll probably do that in a few minutes. So I used to play this game when I was a kid, and man, I used to always get caught by freaking Jason all of the time. So it was so annoying too, because I used to play this one and Nightmare on Elm Street a lot. Those are I mean, they weren't great games, but at the time, they were my favorite. So I had this one, but the one that I really wanted, which I don't have a case for, I have a case that is empty. That funny story. When I went to college the first time,
At
we had
band
an
camp?
Illustrator class, huh?
I said at band camp.
At band camp. I had an Illustrator class, and I didn't know anything about how to make anything, so I just drew a bunch of crap, and I created my own game case.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was kind of neat, and I put like more RPG stuff and stuff in the back because that was like my favorite game. And so inside of here, oh, and I had to make a booklet. Huh, cute, right? I had to make a booklet. So
Oh,
long story short, this guy. So if I could find a case for it, that'd be awesome. So I have Eternal Darkness for the
oh,
Oh,
GameCube.
nice.
okay.
Yeah.
This is a
That's
fantastic
probably
game.
like $100 disc right there.
Just the disc alone.
Hmm.
And what's crazy about it is that I played this game so much. Like, this game was terrifying. Like, I don't know,
Isn't
Phoenix, if you've
that
ever
is
played it.
that is the game that is famous for
Oh, and
making
mess with you.
making you
It
think it
messes,
makes you think your game or your memory's been erased, I think.
dude. It's bad. Like, I remember playing this game, and it left me terrified because I didn't want to continue it, and the sanity meter really does drive you freaking nuts because it's like you want to do something, but then you don't want to go near it, and it's like you could tell things are happening, and it's like no, no, no. So like those are the games, that game particularly, that's the spooky thing that I wanted to
Okay.
show, because that I don't have a case or a manual or nothing, and I bought that game, and it was only the game, and I bought it many, 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 many years
Yeah,
ago.
I'm pretty
So
sure
it's
the
like, oh well,
disc by itself is probably like $100 at this point.
I don't doubt it. So if I can get a case,
Nice.
that'd be cool. Yeah, so that's my stuff.
Cool.
I like your stuff.
Thanks.
I don't like your stuff.
No one likes you anyway.
Talking about with a mustache like this?
Had your stretch marks on your shoulders?
Oh.
It's because the muscles
Yeah, okay.
they're too big.
That's it. Yep. Mhm.
It's totally the muscles.
All right, if you don't mind, I guess I'll go next.
Do it. It's your
Oh, I mind, but no.
No.
Womp womp.
Okay, so if again, I don't know if you guys if I've ever mentioned it on here, but I am a huge Evil Dead fan. It's one of my favorite horror movie franchises. Huge Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, love all that stuff. I think that's why my love for his Spider-Man movies is probably larger than they deserve. But yeah, so real quick, I'm just gonna show. I have.
Please tell me it's Necronomicon.
I have. Oh man, I'm keying out. Maybe I should turn that
No, no.
on.
He's gone. Yay, finally.
Now we can take over.
If I should turn this on. Let me turn it on. I should have thought about that.
The EnteR Metal. And EnteR Metal, man, yes. You know, I looking at that Evil Dead stuff, I don't remember if I have it. I think I might have it somewhere, but I think I have an actual like DVD version with the Necronomicon in front with the face,
Mm-hmm.
the leather thingy or whatever, the skin nonsense. I have to find that one. Let's see. I think I have it.
So yeah,
Yeah.
real quick, I have some of my favorite DVDs that I own.
Hell yeah.
I have like
Look at that.
Old School. This is the very first movie. Freaking love the
Man.
cases
Look
on
at that.
these.
Look at that B movie, man. That's awesome.
Freaking love Evil Dead. But yeah, I've got that. I've got Army of Darkness, and then my case for
During-
2.
Man, during the time of where trauma ruled the world.
Yeah. There's
Or
actually something
trauma was,
funny.
like, up there.
What was the funny thing? Oh, I see. It just I love how on Army of Darkness, at the top it just says from the director of Darkman.
Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
I'm sure somebody who really loved Darkman, and that was a big selling point for
Yeah,
him. So.
it's like
Probably.
why? No, you should say when you're talking about Darkman from the director of Army of Darkness.
God.
Liam Neeson, his first major role, of course.
Womp womp.
But yeah,
That's cool.
that's all I had. I love those. Those are like I think some of these are actually worth quite a bit. I think it's these two. Like
Man, I
like
wonder
some
if
of
I
those
have
old school
mine.
DVDs are like worth quite a bit, I think.
Interesting.
I probably have mine back there somewhere. So I think I have it too.
Okay, so go ahead.
Silly movies.
Turn that back on. All right,
Hey,
Phoenix.
Fry Man.
Your time is now.
So I can take another hour to just talk about what not. All right, so these aren't super spoopy, because as you guys know, I'm a wuss when it comes to spoopy things. So if anything, these lean more on the gore side, maybe.
Gore counts.
So I have two.
That works.
Okay, these are heavy. Well, actually not heavy. They're just big and cumbersome. So I've got my Gears of War Lancers.
Ooh, that is pretty neat,
Go.
actually.
That's
so
the-
Damn, you
Uh,
actually pulled that off the wall? God damn.
I think that one's
Yeah, just go.
from Gears 3, I think, right?
Gears 3 is the retro Lancer. So this one I bought new. I think it was only like $100. I know it seems kind of seems like a lot, but at the time I thought $100 for a
Ginormous
full-scale-
freaking gun? Hell yeah. That's
This is
awesome.
back when we were like really big into Gears of War. I think Gears of War 3 was like the last Gears game I actually kind of got into. After that, I fell
I
off
think I
quite a
played
bit.
I played the MaN campaign for Judgment, and I think that was it. Though I didn't play any of the online. I didn't even know if that one had
And
online.
Judgment came before 3. I think
No,
it
that was after 3.
one. Was it? Maybe it was. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't play much. I mean, I played the other games. I never got big into them. Like 3 was kind of the last peak for me for Gears. So I have this guy, and I also have. I can get it. Show you both at the same time.
The normal one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one.
Dude, that's killer.
I never bought one, man.
So this one, oh man, I made a mistake. Shouldn't be holding both of them. This one I got for $10 at Goodwill in the toys section.
That's
That was a-
This one's
That's a
worth
collector's
so
thing.
much more than this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's like, oh, what is it? I want to say it's like NECA, but it's like a $300 Lancer. This is back when
Jesus.
Goodwill was good.
NECA,
So-
NECA's a big. They make like a lot of toys. They make
Yep.
action figures and stuff.
Yeah, it's
That's
got a couple little chips up on the chainsaw, but I don't care. So, yeah.
Who will notice that? Nobody.
Here's your new thumbnail, Chaz.
Yeah, really.
Nope. I already
Should
forgot.
use it.
Alright.
Okay, so
That was cool.
that's our highlights from the Horde for this week.
Whore.
All done.
Okay,
Put back your weights.
So this is exciting. I feel like we're kind of behind on news topics for a little bit. So we actually have a ton. What do we have? Like 7, I think, lined up. Hopefully our high score is 5. So if we can get past 5, we will have broken a new high score for ourselves.
Oh, it won't happen. I rant for too long. You probably could have done it without me.
We do.
I think we passed 5 last time, didn't we?
No,
we talked
we
about
got
something.
we got 5, and then we talked about the final one after our time ran out.
Yeah. Oh well. No one likes you anyway.
Okay. So let me get the timer going here. I didn't even hear that.
Probably for the best.
Man, I saw that and I was like, that's cool. I'm glad I got mine.
Oh,
I like my,
You're talking about the first
like-
topic, yeah.
yeah, I like my big version. Sorry.
that's what she said.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
had
here
to
we
move
go.
mine down
3,
'cause I
2,
got scared of it falling.
Here's our speed run news. Here's our chance to talk about all the major stuff that's been happening in gaming. I'm hitting start. So as of one topic, this is just came out literally earlier today, but Sony has confirmed a PS5 Slim for this holiday season. Just a couple things that are notable about it. It comes at 1 terabyte for storage for the PS5 and the digital, up from 825 gigs from the original console. Comes with other things. It says the PS5 model will be starting this November in the US. And then as for pricing, it says that the normal disc version is $499, but the PS5 digital is up to $450. So technically that one has seen a $50 upcharge from the base, digital version. It looks like
And to my knowledge, that's not just the slim version. That's a $50 bump on even current digital models.
Womp womp.
Oh, okay.
I
didn't know that.
believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read.
Why the hell are they bumping it up?
Apparently the consoles are only
Well-
like 30% smaller, so it's like
Well, they said that it's not only 30% smaller, but I think it's like the weight aspect is like better too. Like there's a lot involved apparently. But
the biggest reason to get one of these is going to be, and I'm assuming I didn't read all the details on it, but it should be more power efficient. That'll probably be the biggest thing. So probably draw a little less power, which better on your energy bill kind of stuff.
sure.
And the other thing, I don't know if you did, maybe you mentioned it and I didn't hear you, but the disk drive is removable. So basically, you could buy the digital version if you want, and then you could buy the external drive and pop it on the side. Like all 4 plates are removable now, so that's kind of neat. I mean, I like the expandable option, so
That's cool.
Yeah.
No.
How much would that be?
I didn't see any pricing for just that. I would imagine 50 to $100. I'd probably say closer to 100, but
I mean,
it might only be 50 because then it'd keep it in line with if you bought the big boy version of it with the drive already installed.
Thought it did
you
say.
might as
Oh,
well
it
get
said
the
it will
big
be
boy version
sold.
for $50 cheaper.
It said the Blu-ray disc drive is sold separately for $80.
So I mean,
At that
that's
point, you
not
might as well
terrible.
just but at that point, you might as well just get the other thing. I mean, you're
Okay.
spending way more than you should.
Well, the point is, may not know. Like a lot of people might be on a budget. They may not think, "Oh, I'm never gonna need the disc." They buy the discless version. This at least gives you an option to easily upgrade it. Yeah, you're paying a little more. I don't know. I mean, I would love if it was the same price, just $50 to make it on parity with the full system. But I don't think that's terrible.
Do you think the design is all that drastically different? I mean, all they did was put a black line over it.
I mean, they a little bit
Yeah.
that you can break it off, I guess. So
Yeah, they just shrunk it down some. I don't think this is the slimmest of slim systems I've ever seen. I looked at the measurements. It's a little smaller, but I think looking at them side by side, I don't think it's going to be significantly smaller. But
I've already got mine.
this is not an upgrade for most people. I don't think that's what they're advertising it as. It's just if you still don't have a PlayStation 5, this is the next step kind of into that ecosystem. And I think having the removable drive is nice because a lot of people, I'll tell you, probably don't want the disc drive. They probably are happy with digital, but they're probably on the fence. They're like, I don't know. It's a big risk to go all digital. They don't know if they're going to want to do it long term. So honestly, if anything, this is going to help them probably get buy-in into the digital system because people now at least will feel comfortable being like, well, if I really have to have a disc, I've got to fall back buying the external. So yes, it's more money, but people want that, kind of just fall back. And honestly, I bet none of them, well, not none, a very small percentage will end up getting the external drive, and it will just, I think, even pave the future for all digital even more. So
yeah, they're probably really testing out those waters, like hardcore.
yeah, they're making it an easier buy-in into all digital, which
and
smart.
yeah, sure, and up the PS Plus, which they're already doing.
Maybe. Oh, well, they already did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, I'm going to move us on to our next topic. So as kind of, almost directly correlated with, not exactly this story, but something else that also happened is Jim Ryan, the CEO of Sony Interactive, is basically retiring. He's going to be stepping down. Let's see. It says he will be retiring in March of 2024. Corporation President and Chief Operating Officer Hiroki Totoki will be taking on the interim CEO role as of April 1st. Ryan cited increasingly difficulty in reconciling his work in Europe and North America. So basically, he's living in Europe and has to work over here somehow. I'm guessing multiple flights, like constantly. That, or I guess over video. And then he just says he's worked there for 28 years, so a rather long tenure. So he's basically been there since some of the early formative years, for Sony. So what do you guys think about that?
I know a lot of people are very negative about it. Man, that was the kind of outcry where people like, well, not negative. They were glad he was leaving. I don't have I don't have anything against Ryan. I know he's kind of come across, I think maybe douchey is the wrong word, but he's done some anti-consumer moves, I think, with PlayStation. He's been behind some price increases and some odd decisions. I can't remember them all now. So I can understand the negative connotation that he's kind of, correlated to himself, but I don't think that's necessarily all him. I mean, he clearly has done a good job because PlayStation's still sitting pretty much at the top, at least when compared against Xbox. So, yeah, I mean, good for him if he's really taken off time to spend with his family. If that's the real reason, then good. I mean, I'm sure you could speculate. I know some speculation I was hearing was this is partially because maybe he didn't help out so much when it came to that Microsoft Activision deal, and maybe his actions were more harmful than beneficial. Maybe. But, there's no way to say that. I mean, at this point, I would say just take him on his word. I wish him the best. Good for him.
Yeah, I don't have anything to... I think he did a fine job. I mean, he kept the ship going. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say PlayStation is like... I think they were probably strong. Well, when did he become CEO again? Was it... Oh, it was recent, right? After the PS4. So it was after the...
It was after the PS4 released, but it was during the PS4 life cycle, to what I recall. Here's the thing, too. It's always hard to say, like, how much of, a company's direction is all based upon one person, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he made, a lot of bottom line decisions when it came to things, but, there's more than just him impacting the direction of the console. So, yeah, he was behind some negative stuff on the PlayStation, but he was also behind a lot of positive stuff. So, that's really all I can say. I don't have a big enough, I think, draw
I'm in the same
one
boat.
way or the other.
I don't. I think PlayStation will be fine. It's. Yeah.
I will say, and once again, I'm not sure if this is all on him. PlayStation's definitely fallen back into that arrogant stance a little bit. Like, they do this every few generations, and I'm not sure how much of that was him kind of just being like, yeah, we're the best of the best, and kind of make some odd anti-consumer choices because of that, or if that's just how things kind of played out over the past couple of years, regardless of him being at the top. So it'll be interesting to see if that shift or that kind of, stance PlayStation has been taken changes when the new guy gets in line. So I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay, so moving us on to the next one. I mean, we have me and Gamer actually on the... What were you gonna say?
No, I'm just celebrating because this is a good announcement. So
yeah, me and Gamer on the
fireworks going off.
Me and Gamer on the previous episode, we talked about a lot of this crap that's been going on with Unity, and there have been some updates coming out of that. So basically, the president, CEO, and chairman John Riccitiello, this guy, he will retire effective immediately. Essentially, the board within Unity is going to initiate a comprehensive search process to identify a new CEO. It says that James Whitehurst will step in as the interim CEO, president, and board member. And I just wanted to throw this out there that John Riccitiello is the former CEO of EA. And he also claimed that at the time, during some corporate call or something, he said, studios are effing idiots to not implement crazy monetization schemes within their games.
Yeah,
so,
I remember that.
Not the greatest. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Good.
Oh, I mean, this is good.
The
question is, does this matter, anymore for Unity? I'm curious what your stance is, Gamer, because you probably had more experience in Unity than most of us have. Are you going to keep using Unity now, or are you done with it?
Man, I had the subscription for $30 for years, and then they bumped up everything, and they grandfathered me in for a while, which is great. But my thing is that I just don't. I don't know. The direction of Unity is okay, I suppose, but I kind of falled off of Unity for quite some time. So it's for me, I want to see the new changes. I want to see what they're gonna do with it. If there is even any changes at all,
they should.
We'll see.
They should
change.
I was gonna throw a crappy joke at them. I was gonna say they should change the name to Separation or Dysfunction.
So dumb.
I think the damage is done here. Because here's the thing: it's good he's out. I mean, they kind of had to. It was such just a failing on their behalf.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be talking about this for years about how terrible he tanked the company, and I'm not sure if it was all him. I think that's the catch. Even though yes, he's out, they're going to save some face there. He's going to be the fall guy in this instance.
He's a scapegoat. He's not,
you got to think the whole board was behind his decisions because they were seeing the dollar signs too. So, at front-facing value, this is great, but long term, this doesn't mean a whole lot. And I would imagine that developers who were already using Unity have already been burnt. And there's nothing saying that, give it a few more years, they don't want to reenact some of those practices. They were extreme. The retroactive royalty thing or the fee thing, that is terrible.
Yeah.
So most gamers, or not develop, I'm sorry, not gamers, most devs, especially indies, are not going to want to take that potential risk that they're going to invest 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of their life, who knows how much, developing a game, and then be
Just
hit by some weird change.
yeah.
Like, people are already switching over to Godot. Like, I was about to start a new project. I finally want to start getting back into some stuff, and I was about to get Unity set back up again, and then all this dropped, and I'm like, you know what? Nope. I'm starting to figure out Godot and look at some other options and
There's some
play around with
more
those.
engines nowadays that you can mess with that are not Unity.
Yeah,
And they're
and
free.
Unity, as you were saying, has fallen off a lot in other ways. Like, a lot of their downfall has not happened immediately. It's been over the past couple of years. So this is a good time to switch to something else. Unreal is still really solid if you need a powerful engine, and if you don't, Godot, from what I've messed around with, it's easy to use. In some ways, easier than Unity, and it's complete open source. So there are no fees, no royalties ever. So you will own your game if you create one. So I think
Right.
the days of Unity are numbered,
So-
and this
Yeah.
is just a stopgap.
So Godot is very good, bro.
Aha! But
That's all I have
Yeah,
to. That's all I have to
speaking-
bring to the table. I'm sorry.
Speaking of Unreal,
All right, so quickly moving us on to topic number. What is this? Number 4? Are we at?
come on, hurry up.
How much time we got?
Something that happened a little bit ago, but it still is pretty relevant. I just wanted to touch on the epic layoffs. Epic layoffs. So Epic Games has basically laid off about 16% of its workforce, which equates to about 800 employees that have been affected. Company intends to sell the music storefront Bandcamp. Tim Sweeney, CEO, essentially stated that all of this was due to Epic spending more than the revenue that they have that's coming in, which it's kind of your fault. But basically, Sweeney claims that they only realized they had to make this decision about 10 weeks ago, and doesn't really state why that is the case. But yeah,
I mean, I read a little more into the back end, like some of their stuff with Fortnite wasn't panning out like they wanted. I mean, they're giving away free games all the time. Like, the direction they were going was overly costly for the return on investment right now.
Well,
So
they're
cutting
ch-
labor costs.
They're trying to, like, I think, compete with Steam in
Mhm.
a lot of aspects, and Steam just has a strong fist on everything, regardless.
I think
of
they're
what
trying
it
to
is.
compete with more than just Steam at this point. Like,
What?
they're
What?
trying. It's more about Fortnite. They're
Yeah.
trying to turn Fortnite into basically
They probably
the new
spent. They
metaverse.
probably spent a lot on that. The whole Apple case. They probably spent so much on fees, for lawyer fees and all that. The whole case.
It was some of that. I mean, they're spending a lot. I mean, and they have, big, powerful products because of it, but they're not getting that return just yet. I think the big issue here, I mean, these people are losing their jobs due to no fault of their own. That's, I think, the biggest issue. Like, these developers were probably doing everything they were asked. They were probably, basically giving their lives away, working, I'm sure, long hours towards whatever, checkpoints and guidelines they were asked to meet. And then because the management decided that their particular strategy didn't pan out, their workforce is going to suffer. You're not going to see Sweeney take a pay cut. You're going to see the workforce suffer. And this brings me back to the days of Iwata at Nintendo.
Oh, when he
Remember
took his
Wii
pay
U?
cut. Yeah.
Yeah, when the Wii U was doing bad, they made a bad business decision. Their strategy was not panning out. Instead of having their workforce suffer, Iwata took a pay cut. I don't remember how much it was, but it was enough apparently to kind of keep things afloat. And he still made a crap load of money, so it's not like he wasn't still making bank for his position. But that goes a long way to having appreciation for your management, feeling like you're cared for, supported, and you don't get that with the companies over here. So I don't know. It's a shame, and this is not the first or the last. I mean, this is just the most recent, I believe, in a big stint of layoffs. You're seeing Embracer Group sell off like full development studios and just dropping them. Like, it's a really hard time to be in, really, not just game design, I mean game dev in particular, but even like software and like most of the tech companies, they're doing some major layoffs. I mean, part of it is new technology, some of it's AI, some of it is just scaling back and people not hitting certain, check marks they were trying to. So it's a sketchy time to be in the tech industry, at least for these type of jobs, but particularly for game dev, and it just sucks. And here's the thing too, Epic has money. Even though they maybe not have as much money as they had, they are still extremely well off when it comes to how much revenue they have for stuff. I don't believe they had to cut their labor force. They could have found other places to pull that revenue from.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right, so we only got to touch on 4, nowhere near 6, our new record.
aha!
But
I was able to keep our high score down. Yeah.
but real quick, I did want to just
never underestimate the power of my ranting.
Yeah, I'll just kind of
Sorry.
mention just what the other stuff we have. We don't have to get into it, but basically the other stories were the UK has basically approved the Activision Blizzard Microsoft deal. A source familiar with Microsoft says that the company is eyeing October 13th as the closing date, where they'll announce, basically the merger. And it just says that the final decision of the CMA was supposed to be sometime this week.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
You know it.
Oh man.
Oh man.
So you guys don't have to expound, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Hopefully we'll get to kind of see whatever comes out of that. I'm assuming immediately games coming to Game Pass, maybe that they have to already have that lined up.
So it's interesting, and I know we're kind of out of the segment, but this kind of goes along. Well, no. So here's the thing, and this could very much flip after the 13th. But someone from Activision or Activision Blizzard just put out a tweet like today or yesterday. I'm looking October 9th, basically saying that right now there are no plans of Call of Duty or Diablo 4 coming to Game Pass at this time. They said expect potential announcements for next year, but they didn't really mention any specific games. They just left it very vague, but specifically called out the new Modern Warfare and Diablo 4. I'm curious how much of that's going to be in their control. I mean, I don't know. I would imagine at this point they've already communicated, or Microsoft already communicated their plans for how Game Pass is going to play out. So I would imagine this is a little transparent.
You do still have.
I know in some of those.
I was going to say, you do still have one more big game event before the end of the year. You have the Game Awards. That might be an interesting time for Microsoft to be like, we're going to drop one thing. Or you know what I mean?
Probably.
And you know...
Well, I guess my point being is they directly called out Modern Warfare 3 and Diablo 4. Mm-hmm. They were vague about all other games. I bet as soon as this passes, I think you're right. I think Microsoft, I mean, they said it in their legal documents. They have to start making return on investment on this pretty quickly. I think you'll see a lot of the older Diablo, older Call of Duty start showing up. Not the new ones. Maybe those will be day one starting next year or something. But I expect you'll start seeing Diablo 3 pop up there. Maybe we'll see a resurgence in Diablo 3. I'd actually be really excited about that. Maybe some of the old CODs, I don't know. Or maybe just, the rest of their catalog. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD would be awesome. Or not HD, 1 and 2, whichever one it is. So we'll see.
And then real quick, blasting off, last two I had was apparently it's looking like maybe the KOTOR remake that was in production that got announced at a Sony showcase from 2021. Essentially, Sony delisted the trailer that they had up, so now a lot of people are like, but I guess Embracer Group is the one that's helming that, so that just goes to show you again, like you were saying before with the layoffs with Epic, that like companies are, they may shutter this project. Who knows? Who knows how? I'm sure that Disney is probably an expensive property to.
Here's what's interesting that makes this a little more sketchy. Because they mentioned, it's common practice to remove trailers for music that hasn't been relicensed or something. If they're about to release a game, if they're still trying to work on this game, why would you let the license for the music lapse?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think the writing might be on the wall for this one.
Yeah. And then last one, Netflix is raising their prices. They've announced.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Good job. Yeah. They're happy with those strikes, I'm sure. Well, I don't mean to be like mean. I mean, I think it's good that people are finally holding fire to the feet of these companies to actually release their numbers and tell people what they're actually making, so that people can hopefully make some money off of royalties and all that goodness. Okay, so we are moving to our final topic. Yay! So speedrun news. So if you well, I don't see why you would know. I was going to say, but us here and
following us, Chaz.
Yeah, along with another group of friends, we all got to go to Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. And
got my souvenir cup and everything.
I forgot to get my cup. Oh, I should have done that. But I don't know. I was kind of struggling with a way for us to cover this. But I don't know. We figured why not just do another tier list of kind of some of the haunted houses we get to go into. Now, we will explain why we weren't able to go into all of them, but basically, yeah, we only got to go into maybe 5, so I at least put them there so you guys could see what they were. Now, do you guys want to explain to the people here why we're only able to go into a handful of them?
3 hours waiting on one line. Come on. Like, you cannot do how many?
What is it? There's 10.
9?
10.
Well, to be fair, at least my goal, honestly, throughout the night was not to hit every house, and there was definitely a couple of points where we kind of stopped focusing on houses completely. So I mean, we got there pretty early. We did the scare early, scream early admission, whatever it is. So we got into the park for like 3 to 5, so we could actually get a head start on one of the houses. The way it works is if you're in the park by 5 and you have the ticket, then you basically can be in the first group to hit on one of the houses. So we did Last of Us before the park even opened, and then we rushed over to it was Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were in line at Stranger Things about the time the park opened, and that was the longest wait. I think that was like 2 hours. It was a little shy
It
of
was
2
at
hours.
least an hour
Yeah,
30.
it
Yeah.
said 140. It was pretty ridiculous.
It was, but then we kind of just like fell off. I mean, for me, those are the houses I actually cared about. The other ones, I was a little like, if we get them, we get them. So I know we wasted a lot of time just kind of walking around, getting food, got some drinks. I know we saw a show at a certain point. Just as a side note, I was extremely disappointed in all the food and even the drinks at
that was
this
the
place.
main thing I took away was I thought the food was terrible. I don't think I liked
And I'll tell you,
anything.
I watched like food reviews going into. I get really excited about theme park food. It's one of my like guilty pleasures. Like I know it's never worth it. It's always too expensive, but there's something about that theme park food that just usually hits pretty good. And I remember going in here. I really wanted that cordyceps corn dog. So it was like the picture looked great. It was like this big fluffy had I don't even know what it was like breadcrumb mushroom stuff on top, and it looked like this big Korean corn dog. That was so disappointing. It was the blandest thing. The hot dog was like this tiny and this giant breaded nonsense. And then I know the drinks were great.
I had beer after a while, so it's like, you know what? I enjoyed the beer a lot more than tasting those ridiculous fruit drinks that you guys were drinking.
That voodoo beer I had was awful. Whatever that voodoo beer was.
Oh, Voodoo Monk?
Was terrible.
The October.
I'll tell you what I want to do, because as I said, I watched a whole bunch of like food reviews going into it, and everybody was praising all the food items.
We should have reviewed
I want to
the
go
food.
and have like I was gonna say, I want to go and have like a real like one-on-one critical. This is what the food's really like. That way people don't waste their money on it, because I was very disappointed. And there were a few other things we had too. Like I had some of the desserts that weren't great. There was
the
some
Stranger
other
Things
main
peanut,
item.
the peanut
I
butter
never
thing.
found the damn burger. Like we only saw it, and then it's like that was it. We never found it on the menu anywhere.
The peanut butter
Jalapeno burger thing.
I wanted that so badly. I was hungry. I was waiting all night to find
I was talking about
thing.
the moose cup thing we got. That was disappointing.
Yeah, Yuri's favorite. Yeah, everything to me was a little disappointing. So next year we'll do a food review. Maybe that'll be the next tier list. We'll make sure we eat everything. But
sounds like a good idea.
I don't know. I was looking at my screen.
Yeah.
I feel like it looked stretched.
Yeah, the food was pretty disappointing. It looked disappointing. It looked huge on your end though, like giggity. Like the corn dog. I was like, dang, that thing's massive.
The corn dog was good on the first bite or two, but then when I started to set in that this is all of it, I was like, oh.
I've had corn.
Bread didn't have any flavor, and like it had this sauce on it. So I thought that's where the flavor would come from. I don't think I ever even tasted the sauce.
It was just like honey mustard.
It didn't even taste like that. And then the first bite was this big glob of cheese, and then by the time we got to the hot dog, I think you were so full of bread. We'll get off the food review. That'll be next year. But
no, not just yet. When it comes,
it's your turn to rant. Okay. Chaz is very opinionated.
I just want to say I am a fan of corn dogs. Corn dogs have a very specific breading flavor. I don't know what it is. It's like corn. Kind of like cornbread. Looks like a corn.
It's cornmeal.
Yeah,
hence the name.
And that was not that Korean hot dog. That breading was nothing like that at all.
K dogs
we should have known it was a Korean dog, so it was going to be different, but still.
I saw it, but that's not really a Korean dog. Like I live near a place that sells so many Korean K dogs that have hot dogs with cheese, and they're freaking tasty. And I don't even know what they put on the one that you guys were eating, but they actually put sugar on theirs. They
Mm.
dip it in sugar, and it's like really weird because you could put ketchup and whatever the hell you want on it. So that's why I'm like, it looked okay, but from what you guys were telling me, it sounded horrible.
It was all for show. Yeah.
And they were like $10 too, I think, like 10
Oh yeah, food's not cheap there.
some stupid price. Oh
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
But anyway, we're
What
here
do
to
you
talk
do?
about houses.
yeah.
The heck?
So
Oh,
we actually did. Well, Chaz didn't. I know. Me. You did the Chucky house too, didn't you, Metal?
Chucky was the
Yep.
only one you
I
guys
was right
went
with you
to.
guys.
I didn't get to
Yeah.
go
So we
into.
got on 6, and Chaz, we got left in our dust accidentally.
I got into line, and then I looked all the way towards the front of the line because you was able to get up there without skipping people, and I'm just like, Mark's like, or my uncle was just like, skip the line. I'm like, what do you mean just skip the line? I'm gonna get jumped by like 100 people here. Like I'm like, I don't know. But
It makes it
Oh,
sound like it's so
anyways.
easy. No, why don't you just go ahead and do it?
Yeah. If I'm waiting in line for 20-30 minutes and I see someone trying to go ahead of me, I'm not going to be happy. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
that's
no,
me.
that's fair.
But yeah,
Yeah.
You were
so
respectful.
let's see. We essentially got to go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically 6. So we get to go into 6 out of these 10. So we'll let you guys know which ones we got to go into. But I don't know which one you guys want to start with. We can talk about.
Let's start with the first one on your list. So what is
The
that?
most-
Stranger Things?
Yeah. So Stranger Things. If you don't know, Stranger Things was, I would say it's the main attraction, basically, of the entire thing.
The
Between
last-
that and The Last of
Last of
Us,
Us.
like, yeah, I think it depends on who you are, but yeah, those are the two big ones.
No. So what did you guys think?
Man, my tier list is so low.
I'm
It's
curious.
hard to scare me.
Yeah.
It's hard to scare me. I guess I didn't see the show. I'm sorry. I gotta watch it still. It was cool. I think it's a C for me, if anything.
See?
Yeah.
It'd be B for me. Like, if you have watched the show, I
Then
think there's some enjoyment there.
I
If
agree.
you haven't watched the show, I don't think it's gonna do much for you. I think I'm a little more favorable than I probably would have been, just because the house we saw right before this, I was very disappointed in, so it made this one actually feel a little bit better. But it was okay. Like, if you watch the show, it has a lot of moments from it. I mean, it's not really scary, but I'm kind of like with you, Metal. Like, most of these rarely are gonna get a scare out of me. I'm going through for like the detail and the little tiny narrative they have in there. That's stuff I'm looking for. In my mind, I was also comparing. I don't think I told you guys, when I was in Seattle, I did they had the Stranger Things experience, which is like this big walkthrough kind of interactive Stranger Things kind of deal. It's kind of like this, but scaled up a little bit. And that was done a lot better than this. But again, it's a different type of experience. I would say B.
I say B.
If you like the show, I think you'll like this, but
Mm.
it's not the scariest thing. And if you don't like the show, you're not going to get a lot out of it.
It's also like, it's ridiculously hard too to also get what you want out of something that you waited almost 2 hours for. I think that wait, honestly, like, it kind
Killed
of
everything.
killed a lot of the mood, because then by the time you get to the end of the line, you're not thinking about the ride. You're thinking about, oh, thank goodness I'm at the end of
Not
this
in the
line
line anymore. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
so
hate
you
the
get fatigued going into it.
Yeah, I hate the fact that like every time we go through these houses, we're pretty much just getting pushed through these things. Like,
Yeah,
there's
I
no
was gonna
way,
say.
there's no
You're
way
just
you
cattle,
can enjoy
man.
it. Yeah, dude, it's you go so quick, you're done in 30 seconds. Like, it's like, oh man, I want to like
That's something
intake
that I
it
think
and
you don't
enjoy
get
it.
when you watch like the yeah, you get that when you watch like the YouTube previews and reviewers, because you get these people who have like gone through preview events, so they have extra passes, or they go under like perfect conditions, so they get to really take time and you get to see everything, look at the detail. You get more enjoyment out of that, of course. But when you're there in real life and you're shoved through after 2 hours of waiting, and you have 30 seconds to get enjoyment out of it, it's hard, I think, to really soak in and appreciate all the work that goes into these houses. You miss a lot of stuff. I said you got people shoving you in the back, so
Well,
it's
like,
hard.
I sent a video to Phoenix of people, somebody recorded, their experience going through like a lot of the houses. Now, granted, these were in Hollywood, California, and like, if they're the same thing, man, there's a lot of stuff that they got. I felt like that I didn't even see in some of these houses. Like, there were actually like in The Last of Us, the one that they got, like there were actually scenes, or you actually could see like, um, oh god, what's the main character's name? Not Ellie. What's the other
Joel?
guy? Joel. You could actually see Joel like doing things. Like they walk past Joel like trying to rev up a generator while there's like monsters coming at him, and I'm like I didn't see that unless I was moving too fast in there.
I saw Joel. I don't remember what he was doing.
I saw a silhouette. I remember it was a silhouette of both of them, and it was like that was kind of neat. But that was like the most I got out of it.
Yeah. Well, are we talking about Last of Us now?
Oh, no,
moving on to that one?
We'll just move to Blood Moon. Blood Moon we did get to go into. Do you remember this one?
Okay. This was the last one we did. And honestly, I will say, I think we need to kind of rethink how we hit houses, because we, in the last hour of the event, hit most of our houses. We hit like 4 houses in the last hour. Because yeah, everybody was bailing. You could just like go on, walk through. We hit Chucky, Blood Moon, Exorcist. I thought maybe another one. So honestly, we got to rethink how we play things out next year. But I kind of liked Blood Moon. I'll tell you, I found, because this was true, I think, for some past years of Halloween Horror Nights too. The ones that I know the most about and have the higher expectations for, like Last of Us and Stranger Things, is harder for me to, I think, be surprised by and like get kind of the spooky stuff out of, because you kind of know what's going to happen to a certain extent. I knew nothing about Blood Moon. I don't know the background of it. I don't know if it's a movie, a TV show, whatever. So just the fact that I don't know what I'm about to get into makes it a little more interesting, a little more creepy.
Like, I'll look it up. I feel like Blood Moon was a movie.
I liked this one. I liked it better than Stranger Things. And I think a part of that is, once again, I just didn't have the same expectations for it, so it surprised me a little more. I might say A, like comparatively to everything that we went through. I'd probably give it an A. It had some fun moments in it. I don't know if you guys recall, at the very end, you're walking through and they have like just all the people standing there in the hooded cloaks, and it's clearly one of those things where some of them are dummies and some of them are real. So you get that one or two that kind of jump out and scare you. And it was that whole cult thing. So cults, just creepy in general. So they had some very weird, gory sacrifice stuff that was weird.
It was not one of my favorites. There's another one we'll touch on that I wasn't a huge fan of. But,
I would give this one an A, but you guys can drop it where you need to.
An A?
I liked it. Well, here's the thing. If I'm basing off Stranger Things, I liked this better than Stranger Things.
I feel like this one for me is either on par or C, for me personally. I could see B, maybe. What do you think, Gamer?
I'm trying to remember all of it. I do remember the.
I remember the things because there was a part where you went through a church, and I remember.
Yeah,
that.
I do remember that. That was neat. I mean,
I'm sitting in the pews, jumping out at you.
That's right. They had a lot more detail in that one compared to some of the other ones. Plus, we got to enjoy it a little bit more because we didn't get pushed across as fast.
I would say B.
We didn't wait in line for 2 hours.
Yeah, we didn't wait in for such a long time just for that.
So we got an A, a B.
Oh man, it's a tough one. I mean, that one was pretty good, I guess, from the little that I do remember. I'm gonna go with an A on that one because the Stranger Things, even if I didn't watch the show, wasn't.
I'll be honest, I was assuming we weren't going to have any A's or S's, so...
I don't think we're going to have an S.
I disagree. At least for me, but you guys, let's keep on keeping on.
Okay.
Here's when I do these rankings too, I'm basing them off of, relative to the ones we have. Like, if I put an S up here, I'm not saying it's the best house ever.
Because I'm thinking
but comparatively to the houses we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Because I was comparing them to previous houses I've been in from like a decade ago.
That's not really fair though, because we're really comparing these to each other, not freaking 2013.
I'll rank it however you want. If you want to go with kind of just on a pure
I like what you're thinking. So to me, I would still say A or B. I would probably went with a B, but 2 A's and a B, so we got an A there. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So next one, The Exorcist. This one's based on that new movie that I think came out a couple days ago. What did you guys think of this one?
When it scares a worker, from like running out saying, "I don't want to be in this one." Like that's pretty funny.
Was that a worker?
She had a vest and everything.
I don't know if that was a worker. I think that was just someone who went in because this was the one we walked into, and like before we barely even got in, I'm pretty sure it was as a guest. She ran out. She was like, "Nope, not doing it."
I saw that.
All I remember was the she was wearing like what do you call it, like the green and yellow, like whatever, like vest, and I'm just like, I don't remember we're seeing anybody wearing those except for the workers. Well,
maybe.
I mean,
I remember this was one of the ones. Was this one my wife fell in because she got scared so bad she fell to the ground? Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't think so. I think that was.
She was great. She's great. She's a trooper.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't remember actually.
She made it so much more fun.
Oh
no, that was Dark Moon. That was Dark Moon.
Was it?
Fell in. Yeah.
Is this the one that she fell back on and took?
Oh, this is the one I caught her on. Like she started to fall backwards, and I hooked her by the arms real quick.
Yes. This was great.
So since we are good.
My wife loves horror, haunted houses, but she just is super jump scared, like super jittery when it comes to stuff. So it makes it so much fun to like walk behind her and push her out front the whole time.
It's so good. I'm trying to remember the detail on this one, to be honest.
Actually, this is the one I remember the most. So since we're changing how we're grading these, I would say this one for me is an S or an A. I would say this is probably my favorite one we went into.
Really?
I really liked. I just thought it was kind of fun. You get to see like. You saw multiple little kids running around dressed as these exorcists, and this one was fun because like it initially starts off with you like entering that town that kind of look run down, and as you're going through, you start entering the house, and you start seeing, you're actually seeing the process that they kind of had of trying to deal with the exorcist, and I liked this one. I would say S or A. I'm not sure.
I'd go B or A. I lean a little more B, but I could see A in there. For me, it's not an S. But once again, I look at horror things very different than you guys do. So
I'll go A. I'll say A. It's
kind of the middle.
If it's my favorite, though, should I say S?
If it's your favorite, you can say S. But no, you're closer to S. I'm closer to B. So now it's wherever metal wants to land.
Yeah. I'm remembering the little kids and all that stuff. That was actually pretty cool. A lot. I mean, I was drinking in between, so I had different alcohol content than you guys. I'm gonna sit it at an A because
right in the
Stranger
middle.
Things was just Stranger Things are just not. It wasn't good for me.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're gonna set it an A. I feel like I'm happy with that. I could roll with that.
I'll be the middle man.
So. I'm going to just throw it out there. I think, to me, this was the most disappointing one out of the entire group. This is the one I may have been the most excited for, too. But I wasn't that thrilled with this one. Was it because it was the first one? Maybe we weren't as drunk as the later ones? But not that I was ever drunk. I feel like that's something I should throw in. Part of the reason I was disappointed is that we were waiting in line so often that my buzz would just keep going away. And I'm just like...
First off, since this was the first one, we're in the middle of the sun.
Yeah.
Waiting, and it was blaring hot outside, and even our drinks were crying. It was that bad. And plus, on top of that, we went through this thing, and I think it was just too. Coming from outside being bright, going inside being really dark, we could barely see anything.
This was too dark, and I don't think it's just that we came in from the brightness. Like the way this was lit, you couldn't see any detail anywhere.
From what I saw,
this also had
those details, those cordyceps details were awesome. Like I think
they were, but the environments you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell what was going on. I think here's my bigger issue with this. Every other house had a bit of a narrative kind of going through. Like, oh, we're here, then we're there. There was movement to it. This is just like clicker. Yeah, here's another clicker, and you couldn't tell where you were in the game necessarily. You couldn't tell if they were trying to follow the game. I guess there were moments I could kind of tell. Like I know you mentioned like they had the truck crash at the beginning.
There was like two set events, and that was about it I saw.
But like I guess what threw me off is like that was a scene that didn't even have many clickers. That was supposed to be a big shootout with whatever the town folks were. I remember the guys who jumped them essentially.
Mhm.
There was none of that. It was just clickers. I saw Ellie once and I saw Joel once, not together, just kind of in two separate places. And then it was clickers popping out of random crevices in the wall, and everything was just dark. It wasn't scary either. I mean, they tried to jump scare you a lot, but that was it. I don't know. There wasn't enough story to it, which I know is kind of an odd thing to ask for in a haunted house sometimes, but that's what I like. I like to be some weird, creepy narrative kind of going through, and I don't know. This has had one note, and it was just clicker the whole time. If you love clickers, if that's the whole reason you like The Last of Us. I mean, they were very detailed costumes, but this was my most disappointing. I would give it a D.
I would give it a D as well. There was a few moments where I could actually see the detail on them. I didn't think it was very good, especially at the end. There was a last clicker as we got near the exit door, and he got into the light, and it was. I didn't think it was very good. But...
Oh yeah, I didn't see that part. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think
D's fine.
It's disappointing. That was the one I was probably looking forward to the most too.
It really.
Yeah.
So the
it
one
just didn't help.
Yeah. So the one I didn't get to go into, Chucky. What did you? I don't have an opinion on this one.
That was hilarious.
This one, I loved it. This is S for me.
So can I just say I did watch the video of the lady going into the Hollywood one. Does it start initially with you walking into like boxes stacked up of Chucky, or is that different?
I can't remember exactly. I mean, I remember walking in.
House.
Here's what I really liked about this one. It might have just been the way it was structured. All the other houses, you're just waiting outside in the back lot pretty much. So you're in the heat. There's nothing kind of prepping you for the house. This one took place inside the Fast and the Furious like garage. So one great thing about it is you're inside in the AC. So that made me just a lot happier to be there.
That was nice.
And they had this little preview video about the Chucky house, like kind of prepping it. Which it added a little bit of story going into it. Like there was this guy in a big Chucky costume, and then the real Chucky threw a knife in his face.
Yeah.
And then what happened is we go into the house, one of the first things you see is the big dude in the Chucky outfit with a knife popping out of his head. Yeah. So you had some continuity. So that was the first thing I remember. But this one was cool because you went through, and Chucky's really cheesy anyway. Like Chucky works when you don't take it seriously, like at all. So you're going through, they're showing, I guess, these little scenes from the new show or new movie that's coming out. I think it's a show. And at first I was disappointed because you only go like maybe, 20 seconds metal, and then like you're outside again, you think the house is over, and you're like, oh,
and
this was terrible. And then it like pulls this like 180 on you when you realize even though you're outside exiting, you're still part of the house, and then it pulls you back in. And from then it was just crazy, just like nonsense the whole time. These horrible over-the-top deaths that were occurring. Guys like half their bodies are exploding, and just like very over the top. It was the most fun I had. It was very easy to track what was going on. It had some jump scary moments. There was one scene or one section I was walking through. I turned the corner. I think I was in the front of the line, and they had this hallway with, and this might be what you saw in the video, Chaz, a bunch of Chucky boxes lined up on either side.
I saw that.
And you knew one of them was going to hop out at you. Yeah. Like, they had a lot of fun little moments like that. I enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I would. So I'd give it an S. Comparatively to everything we did here, it was my favorite. I'm really sad you didn't get to see it, Chaz.
Yeah, explaining it now that I do remember all that stuff, and I do remember it. Yeah, it was good. You know what? I think it was fun, and I think those are one of the final houses that we hit too, if I'm not mistaken. It was like the second
right after we got out of the show.
Yeah, and it was good. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay, so we didn't get to go into Unmasked, which apparently that's like a horror-themed Universal Monsters thing, mashup of all their
like Invisible Man, stuff like that. I was never overly interested in doing that one. I'm not huge on Universal Monsters. I've heard it was okay, but no.
The one I wanted to, we didn't get to, was the Yeti one. I kind of was curious.
I wanted to do the Yeti one too. Yeah.
We were near it too, but then we saw the line and we're like, no.
I think we chose to do Exorcist instead of Yeti.
Yeah, because it was right next to each other.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed Exorcist, so at least for me, it's like... Yeah. There was a Dueling Dragons one. I don't know anything about the Oddfellows, Twisted Origins.
So the Oddfellow, like, every year Universal has their own character for Halloween Horror Nights. This was their canonical character, Dr. Oddfellow. So I've heard the house is okay, but it doesn't have any kind of like background to kind of pull you in. So I don't know.
So the last, or one of the ones we did, which this was the darkest deal. This was the was it like very southern kind of like.
Oh, this is the
Down
one
by
that
the
has the
bayou,
whole.
sell your soul to the devil kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
this is that
a
Robert Johnson type of deal.
like a
where you
music
sell
guy
your
selling his
for
soul.
music.
Yeah,
hmm
basically. This
And
one
it was a
I
lot of blues.
this one I wasn't big on either. So for me,
It was.
I would say C.
I'd give it a B.
I give it a B because I remember the detail being really pretty cool actually. Like especially when you walk in the beginning and you see like the signature being sold.
It was like vampire. It was like
Yeah.
all vampires or something.
I don't know if they were
I don't
vampires. I think
remember
it was a
vampire.
little hard for me to know what was going on. Like once again, I had no context to this one, but that kind of helped a little bit because I was a little more surprised. But I didn't know exactly what the main story was besides this guy sold his soul. But I don't know. I thought the way it moved through the southern kind of bluegrass creepiness, I think kind of sold through. So I liked it.
It was neat for what it was.
No.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
No, all right. That is our what is it? That is our 6 that we get to go into out of the 10. Once again, it sucks because we even got that early pass, and I assumed.
And we barely got into anything. We only got into the first one, and that was it.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, we
But we got
probably
there
did
early
save
enough.
ourselves 2 hours of waiting because both the Stranger Things house and Last of Us, almost the entire night had 2-hour wait. So
That's
yeah,
true.
we still had to wait for Stranger Things, but we didn't have to wait for Last of Us. I'll tell you, if I would have had to wait 2 hours for Last of Us and then went through that house, I would have been far more upset. The fact that we got to rush through that one essentially as soon as the part kind of pseudo opened, I think helped take the sting out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we really only waited significantly for Stranger Things. All the other 5 houses, it was maybe a 30-minute wait for most of them. Even Last of Us wasn't that long of a wait. It was hot, but it wasn't that long of a wait when we got in there.
No.
No, it was just long because we got there really early.
Yeah, we waited in the pre-queue, but still,
I mean-
once the thing actually started,
I don't know if we can do it next year, but I'm gonna definitely push for Fast Pass. If we, I don't think I would want to give Universal that much money out of just
so
I don't know,
Like, is
here's
it even
the
worth
thing. I mean,
it?
you're right,
for
it's
100
expensive.
It's $160.
just out of like
So here's something to
spite.
look at.
I don't want to give them $300, but if it makes it a
Well, if you're gonna go that route, like for one, if you get Fast Pass, you're still waiting in a line, so you're not just bypassing all the lines. There's a
Yeah.
queue for Fast Pass too, which that gets a little lengthy. At that point, if you're spending that's like $250 to $300, I think for $350, you get a specialized tour that goes through all 10 houses. They show you the behind the scenes, like you get to walk
I
through the
saw
house.
people doing a tour. That's what that was. Huh.
I think so. So honestly, if you're really thinking of doing that, it may be better we talk about just investing a little more than even that, and then guaranteeing you do every house and you get the tour and everything. That's the most expensive option, but maybe. I don't know. I'm always in between on it. Like, I enjoy the houses at Halloween Horror Nights, but that's not always the main draw. Like, I just kind of want to go and hang out. So the fact that I didn't get to see those other 4 houses, I don't know if I would have wanted to pay an extra $150 to guarantee I saw them or not, because they're all a crapshoot, right? The best houses could end up being the worst houses. Like Last of Us, which was the biggest draw, I thought was the worst house. And then the houses that I was least interested in, like going into this, I thought Chucky would have been like bottom of the barrel, because Chucky is a very kind of drowned out IP at this point, and I loved it more than everything else. So I don't know. Houses can be fun, but it's more fun just to go and kind of hang out there.
I think the Green Gots ride was the best thing. I think. I
Oh
did all
yeah,
night.
that ride was freaking awesome.
Something else disappointing about this one, which usually kind of makes up for the houses if you can't make them, the scare zones. I thought they were
They were awful.
terrible
They
this
were
year.
awful.
Terrible.
That was what 1960s like hippies or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, they had the weird like 70s
Oh, it was
music
awful.
thing. That didn't work for me. Then they had like the weird sideshow circus stuff.
They had people
That-
people on
Yeah, that was
stilts or something.
Nonsense.
I think we missed one of the zones because we kind of skipped over the front part of the park to kind of get to where our shortcut was for Last of Us. But yeah, none of the scare zones were that fun. I mean, I remember a few years ago where they had the guy with the clown chainsaw thing running around, scared
that
my
was
wife.
cool.
That was great. So
Yeah.
I don't know. A little disappointed there too.
The one time we went, they had the purge. That was freaking fantastic. Like
Yeah.
then they would have like, you know, the truck that's smashed or whatever, and then everything would come out of the smashed truck. It's like, oh, cool. They're just coming out, just chasing after everybody. It's like, oh, yes, perfect. You
Yeah.
know, but
I get.
I don't know.
I was gonna say, I guess that's a good way to kind of even wrap this out. Like, I know we ranked this relative to the house that we see here, but as Chaz, you were saying earlier, if we're ranking this to all the Halloween Horror Nights you've ever been to, none of this
No.
ranks all that high. Like, I would say most of this would be
D.
C and below. I might still put Chucky at a B because I did enjoy it comparatively to every house I've ever been on, but this to me was not a flagship Halloween Horror Nights year. The food
No.
also disappointed me, so maybe it's just, I don't know. This is not one of the best years to go.
I didn't even think the butterbeer was all that. I was like, oh.
Oh, you be quiet. Butterbeer is always good.
Actually, that frozen butterbeer was fantastic.
They had frozen butterbeer?
They had frozen butterbeer.
They told me they had cold or
so
hot.
Good.
I got cold.
No, they said cold or iced.
Oh, the iced one is where it's at. It was like having like an ice cream shake. It was
I should have done
good.
that. Dang.
And you get that really cool. You get the cool little goblet.
Mm.
And it's bigger this time because I remember the other one I have is smaller.
Giggity.
I want to make my own. I want to make my own butterbeer.
I'm sure it's not hard.
Yeah, but it's full of sugar.
Alrighty, so yeah,
funny.
so that was basically our thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights. Kind of interesting, us getting to review an event. That's definitely something I don't think we've tackled.
Now we have to review the Super Saiyan.
Oh, that was the best part of the entire 2 days. Super Saiyan. I guess if you guys haven't heard, should we explain Super Saiyan?
Sure.
Oh, I got scared. I forgot I had a floating bald head above me.
You bald head scared yourself.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, if you guys don't know, and you know, over by Universal in Orlando, there not by it, but in the area, there is a little restaurant, right, called Super Saiyan. It's Dragon Ball Z themed, and
it's a ramen shop.
It's a ramen shop, and I think that was amazing. I thought the food was good, like incredible.
Oh, it was good.
It like
it's a good ramen shop.
Wasn't
they also one in
expensive.
Jacksonville if you're ever up that way.
Is that one any different?
Oh, my ramen bowl was expensive. I think the one in Jacksonville is a little nicer. I don't remember if the food was really better. I mean, I feel like it's the same selection. The restaurant is a lot nicer in Jacksonville. It's a bigger location. It's a newer one. I think it's themed a little more general anime than just Dragon Ball, whereas this one is just straight up Dragon Ball the whole time. But I don't know. They're both good. I mean, it's a good ramen shop. I mean, there's so many ramen shops across the world, so to say how this one ranks, but comparatively, it's a good one.
I would recommend getting there early because we got there right when they opened, and it was still like right after it opened.
I told you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
It fills up quick.
It's hilarious to me because I've had really freaking good ramen, and they had good ramen. I'm not saying it wasn't bad. It was good, and I got the stir fried ramen. I like it. It was good. It was tasty.
I got the
and that sauce is where it's at though. Like
the super sauce.
Yeah, man, that's where it's at. And so if you go there, get the super sauce.
Yeah. You start getting to the end, you start tilting the bowl. So good. All right, so I don't know. So Phoenix, you're not able to join us for what would next podcast? That would be probably like towards the end of the month.
We kind of pushed this one a little bit. So typically, I know we've been trying to be on first Tuesday of the month, but we pushed this one so we could do Halloween Horror Nights. So if you want to stick with that original schedule, then we're looking at the 7th?
It would be the 7th.
Because I think I would be on vacation at that time. So yeah, probably sometime after that. Yeah. Gamer, did you want to try?
Good about schedules.
I'll get with Saran. I don't know if he'll want to do one more before I go or not. But yeah, definitely at least with everyone, we'll plan for that first week or two of November.
Okay. Just let me know if you want to, and it should be fine. Since I'm doing the other stream is probably going to be only on Mondays. At least I'm going to try to do that.
So I know Gamer has a new project that he has going on. Did you want to plug anything here?
I mean, I could. I plugged you in mine. Giggity.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
Actually, I plugged all of my projects in the other one. So I started a new YouTube stream and Twitch stream for a band that I'm looking to start, which I have music already set up. It's a music project based off of a live creation for new music that I'm making. So I'm pretty much just on the fly coming up with ideas. So the point behind it is to create new ideas, and if they go through, they're good. If they're not, then they're just not good. I'm just really just using this as a way of documenting and just keeping myself accountable, so I can be able to uh, take myself and take this new and try to push it into Atlanta. So that's kind of where I'm kind of going with it.
Hmm.
When your chat gets growing, you got to have them vote on their favorite riffs. It's like they'll play a
Oh, that'd
section,
be
and then you go,
that'd be awesome. I would love to do that, like little polls and stuff like that, like fun riffs or like ideas or songs or just little sections. That'd be great. So I did my first one yesterday. So the name of the band is Limb Breaker, like, and I'm taking a limb and breaking it. So so that's kind of the stretch that I'm going with. So if you enjoy, looking at, want to watch me putz around on guitar and throw some ideas or just kind of do whatever, or just shoot the crap.
Hmm.
That's kind of like one of those channels where you can kind of say kind of what you want. So I'm kind of open on that.
Yeah.
So
If you don't know, Geeky Gamer's one of his previous projects. He I basically has the titular Enter ChazmaN theme song, basically kind of spread throughout my channel. So there you go. So
yeah,
go over there and see him create some stuffs.
yep. I mentioned like my other bands, my other past projects, and my inspirations and all that fun stuff on the last. On it was yesterday, last night. So hopefully you enjoy it. Leave some comments and show some love.
Do that here first, though.
Yeah, do that here first, or not.
No, do it here first. I demand. But okay. So as we move on into we're officially getting near Halloween time. So what else do you guys have going on? You guys playing any other games? Watching any movies, shows?
I think same as you. I'm waiting for Spider-Man. So
And Alan Wake.
I mean, next thing that kind of drops for me.
Those are the two for me.
Nice.
'Cause
I
know
gotta
you got
finish 16.
16.
Yeah, I
Mario.
gotta finish.
Mario comes out too, right? At the same time.
Oh man, RPG.
No, it's
Oh no, I'm thinking of Wonder.
Wonder.
Oh, that too. Oh no, oh that's next month.
RPG is a little bit later, yeah.
RPG is like
I tell you, I'm
middle
starting-
November, I think.
Yeah.
Or early November.
I'm starting to think, 'cause I know we're gonna start thinking about our, end of the year, game of the year kind of showcase.
Oh man.
I've been trying to think about what my game of the year even is.
Ugh.
I'm not sure, man. A lot of the games I thought might be high on my list have not been overly, not quite up to my expectations.
I'm in the same
I
boat.
know Starfield in particular, so I don't know. I'm really hoping Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man, honestly, has a very large opportunity to probably be the best game I played this year because I very much doubt that it's going to not be a solid game. I loved the last ones, so
I think Spider-Man and Alan Wake. I'm hoping both of them are like. I'll play them at the same time. I'm hoping both of them are like really good. Because I would say Final Fantasy 16 is my current, but even though I liked it, to me that could easily be overdone by something like that. To me is not a set in stone, which is crazy to say considering a Zelda game came out this year.
Yeah. See, that game was another one. Didn't quite do it for me. I think I'm a little disappointed. Like, I know I'm talking about Spider-Man being, like, potentially game of the year, but at the same token, I think it's just because I know exactly what to expect for that game. Like, which makes me a little sad, because typically my game of the year is something that I kind of want to surprise me a little bit. I don't think Spider-Man's going to do that, but I know it's going to be just really high quality. I'm going to have fun swinging through the city, so, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Insomniac is totally where... I feel like Insomniac right now is about where Rocksteady was for a while there with Batman, where it's like, oh, I know what I'm gonna get. I can't wait for the next one. Like even with like Arkham Knight, like that one, even though it was a bit of a, was it Arkham Knight? Yeah, it was.
The third one,
Arkham Asylum,
fourth,
City, and then Knight.
but
Yeah, even with Arkham Knight, like even though like that one was a downgrade to the other two, it was still an incredibly fun game. So
it was just a little broken and had some weird mechanics in it, but.
Yeah. But yeah, so you guys, I don't know. That's another week of the EnteR podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoy. We just had a chat drop Ryan Pacarini in chat says, I see you guys went to Halloween Horror Nights. If you guys go next year, I recommend doing one of the two main houses right at the beginning, like you did with The Last of Us. Then head to the back of the park near Men in Black. So what
And
does
we
he
did.
mean,
We
the
kind of
Men in
hung.
Black? Is that just like the location of another house? He means just hit that house?
I
Well,
think we went
typically, I think typically the point is like if you get there quick enough, then the back of the park doesn't fill up nearly as quickly because you gotta think people flood in and they're gonna hit those first big houses early on. So if you hit some big houses before the park technically opens, you can catch a few more towards the end. And I have found a lot of the houses that are by that side are end up being some of my favorite ones for whatever reason. Like there was one we did a few years ago. Oh, man, maybe we were at this one. It was like one that had 3D glasses, and it was like the
Oh,
weird,
that one was
trippy,
awesome.
a sane asylum one.
Yeah, that
I
one
remember
had the
that
little
one was at the
spinny
back of the
thing
park.
and the little
Yeah.
things that are kind of frilly.
And
That
we
was
went on that
great.
one like 3 times too. That was great.
It was that good.
No.
It was so good. That would actually be on my S. That was awesome. Like
That's one of my favorite
too
ones.
good. Too good.
He says,
Yeah.
then walk the park backwards so you can do like 7 houses that way before crowds.
We can make that attempt. We'll keep that in mind. I think
this year we just kind of lost focus after we did the first 2 houses. We kind of just like
We tried to
got
knock out the
food,
two
hung
big.
out.
We tried to knock out the two
Yeah.
big ones at first, and
remember that
we
that
probably could have done all 10 if we would have really
should we have
focused.
walked straight to Stranger Things first? Would that have
Maybe
saved?
Maybe it's hard to say. 'Cause The Last of Us also filled up right after that. Both of those are going to be wasted no matter what. I mean, I think arguably Stranger Things might have been the bigger draw. I was less interested in that one initially, so I mean, I was glad we attempted Last of Us. As I said, I felt better waiting for Stranger Things. At least that experience didn't completely disappoint me. If I would have waited 2 hours and went on Last of Us, I would have been sad. So I'm kind of glad we did the way we did.
And I think it was about 2 or more like hours waiting for that if we didn't hit it first. Like it was pretty terrible. Remember that this year we went to the show and it was cool, like
The show was fun.
The show was very fun, tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff.
I hate shows like that. I'm just all the days.
Yeah, it's like
it's
all
not
like burlesque.
Yeah, I'm not into that stuff.
I'll tell you, it was not Bill and Ted's crazy Halloween adventure. Like I loved that one.
Fantastic. Or like if it would have been, it was a Bill and Ted like Halloween Horror Night. I mean, Halloween. What is it? The Rocky Horror Picture Show type style, and it was so much fun. Like.
Yeah, I mean, this show was a little one note. I mean, it was impressive to watch, but it was very one note. But I do say this one had a lot of crowd like energy that I don't think the Bill and Ted one had. So it was fun. I mean, I'm glad we got a chance to sit down because I think at that point we were all kind of dying. So that was nice.
The only thing I had fun in that was I got to hear Drowning Pool really loud, and I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. In chat, Ryan also says, I'm able to do all 10 houses every year by like 1 a.m. Says, you have to do The Last of Us and Stranger Things either first or last.
Yeah. Man, that would have been last.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Cool.
So, yeah. I guess we kind of touched on what we got going on until the next episode. I don't know, down in the comments, guys, we'd love to hear, what are your thoughts? Did any of you guys get to go out to Halloween Horror Nights? I don't know, what do you think about any of the major events we talked about in Speedrun News? I'll need to pick a spooky game. Oh, that's right. I'll have Alan Wake 2 to talk about on whatever next episode. Ooh, it's going to be exciting. No. All right, so, I don't know. Phoenix and Gamer, do you guys got anything to say before we hit the old dusty trail?
No, I think it's about time to head out.
Nope.
All right, and once again, thank you so much for watching, guys. We love yous. And we will see you again. Thank you, Ryan, for contributing there. We appreciate your engagement. That's better than no engagement. I feel like I say that every.
Thank you for talking to us.
Please.
We're not talking into the void. All right, leave it on that note. Night, night, everybody. Bye. Gonna end it here, right here. End. Bye.